Extraordinary perspective. What's wrong with this girl? She was fine just a moment ago, how did she suddenly fall to the ground? Maybe she's suffering from heat stroke. Hey, she's actually a beauty. Look at that face, those long legs, that figure. She could easily score a 9.5. It's not just her face, her body's great, but the key is her temperament. She stands out even more than top celebrities. She's a super beauty. On the pedestrian street in the south of Longcheng, a group of people gathered in a circle, whispering among themselves. Super beauty. A young man with a sack on his back and a strange pouch around his waist heard these words and his eyes lit up. The foot he had just stepped forward with seemed to be pulled back, and he slowly retreated to the outer edge of the crowd. With a flash of golden light in his eyes, the people around him instantly became transparent. In the center of the open space, a young woman in a yellow dress lay unconscious. The girl had a delicate, oval face with finely sculpted features, a slender and long body. A white calf peeked out, and her gently furrowed brows made her look even more pitiful and lovable. How can girls in the city look so good? Our village beauty, YA, looks like a monster compared to her. How could such a beautiful girl faint? With another flash of golden light in his eyes, the beauty's clothes became transparent. Beneath them, her skin, bones, and blood vessels were clearly visible, revealing the problem. The girl's heart had a defect and had stopped beating. Make way. The young man with the sack on his back casually swept his arm, knocking a group of people aside as though they were paper, and walked straight to the girl. He placed the sack on the ground, pinched her straight nose with one hand, and grabbed her sharp chin with the other. Taking a deep breath, he kissed her on the lips. Pervert. Where did this bumpkin come from? The girl has already passed out, and now he is taking advantage of her beauty. What a beast. Call the police. This beautiful woman has been taken advantage of by this bumpkin, her cute little mouth, so tempting. But this bumpkin is surprisingly strong, carrying that big sack and easily pushing so many people aside. Seeing the young man kiss the unconscious beauty, the crowd immediately erupted in anger, some already dialing the police, hating themselves for not seizing the opportunity. HMPH. Ignoring the crowd's accusations, the young man let out a long breath. Under everyone's stunned gaze, he slid his hand inside the girl's neckline, tore off her undergarments, then pressed both hands against her swollen chest. Damn, beast. This bumpkin is shameless. First, he kissed her mouth, and now he is groping her chest. He is utterly inhumane. Call the police. We can't let this bumpkin get away with it. Such a beautiful woman, we can't let him take advantage so easily. As the crowd saw the young man groping the girl, they were once again furious, cursing him while secretly wishing they could be the ones in his position. Ignorant. Ignoring the crowd's insults, the young man hesitated for a moment, then, with a pained expression, pulled out a bamboo tube from his pouch, poured a small black insect out of it, and fed it into the girl's mouth. Oh! Damn it, this bumpkin is disgusting. He is feeding the beauty a bug, so gross and hateful. This guy is not just a pervert, he is a total freak. Seeing this, the crowd's stomachs churned, some couldn't hold it in and turned away, even vomiting. However, the girl in yellow breathed out, her long, beautiful eyelashes fluttered slightly, and she slowly opened her eyes. Oh, she really woke up. Can this really work? What kind of medical technique is this? Feeding a bug to treat a patient. I've never heard of that before. This bumpkin randomly did something, fed her a bug, and actually brought the girl back to life? The crowd stared in shock. The girl woke up and saw the young man in front of her, his eyes glowing with excitement. She quickly crossed her arms over her chest, her face wary, and asked, "What do you want?" "What do I want?" "To save you." The young man replied, "Now that you're awake, you can pay me the medical fee." The girl slowly remembered that she had secretly slipped out to play and fainted from an old illness. She knew that every time this happened, it required a professional doctor's help, and she would need to stay in the hospital for several days to recover. How did this boy manage to do it? Though confused, she knew he had saved her, so she said kindly, "Thank you for saving me. My name is Jean Kellen. How much is the medical fee?" The young man thought for a moment. "Since you're so beautiful, I'll charge you 10,000 yuan. 10,000 yuan? You dare to ask for that much?" This guy took advantage of the girl while she was unconscious, kissing and touching her, then casually fed her a bug, and now he is asking for 10,000 yuan. How shameless. This is obviously daylight robbery. What bug could possibly cost that much? Before Chin Kellen could speak, the crowd began protesting. When she heard the young man had fed her a bug and took advantage of her, Chin Kellen immediately felt sick to her stomach, her face burning with anger. She pointed at him, You. What you? The patient doesn't mind the doctor's actions. What's more important, your life or a little touch? The young man responded nonchalantly, ignoring the people around him, and sneered, a bunch of filthy-minded people who watch others suffer and do nothing. Do you even know what CPR is? Artificial respiration. You think I'm taking advantage of her? At least think a little more positively. And that wasn't just any bug, it was a precious medicinal worm, carefully nurtured. Asking for 10,000 yuan is a bargain. Oh. After doing such a lewd thing, he said it so righteously, but he did save the girl, leaving the crowd speechless. Chin Kellen just wanted to leave. All right, 10,000 yuan it is. Give me your Alipay account, I'll transfer it to you. The young man looked confused. Alipay? What's that? Chin Kellen was speechless, then smiled gently. WeChat is fine too. Let us at each other, and I'll transfer it to you through WeChat. WeChat. With two new terms, the young man scratched his head. What's that? Seeing his confused expression, Chin Kellen almost wanted to bang her head on the ground. Forget it, give me your phone. The young man took out a long outdated Nokia phone from his pocket and handed it over carefully. Be careful, this is the only phone in our village. The clan approved it for me when I went out. Chin Kellen covered her face with both hands, looking completely disheartened. After a while, she weakly said, Do you have a bank card? Wuji shook his head. Fine, go to an ATM and withdraw cash. There were plenty of ATMs along the pedestrian street. Chin Kellen quickly found the nearest one, withdrew 10,000 yuan in small bills, and handed it to Wuji, who was closely following her. Par. This was the first time Wuji had handled such a large sum of money. His eyes immediately lit up. He spat on his thumb and started counting the money with exaggerated delight. Money grubber. Chin Kellen was speechless and turned to leave. 98, 99, 100. 100 bills of 100, that's 10,000. For the first time in his life, Wuji was holding such a large sum of money. He was so excited he couldn't help but count again, when suddenly he realized the beautiful woman was leaving. His sharp eyes scanned the crowd, and he quickly chased after her, blocking Chin Kellen's path. Beautiful lady, meeting you is fate. Your illness has only been temporarily controlled, it hasn't been completely cured. Do you want to cure it once and for all? Cure it completely. Chin Kellen's heart skipped a beat, and her pretty face changed color. How can it be cured completely? Wuji gestured with his hands. You don't need to worry about how it will be treated. I guarantee it will be cured with the medicine. All you need to do is prepare 100,000 yuan. 100,000 yuan. Although she wasn't sure how he had revived her, her illness was a world-class medical issue, and even the best doctors in China couldn't solve it. This guy actually said he could completely cure it. Did he really think she was easy to deceive? Chin Kellen's brows furrowed slightly as she spoke in a soft voice. Thank you, but I don't need it. Huh? Wuji had expected that once he mentioned a complete cure, the wealthy beauty would immediately agree, but he didn't expect her to show no interest at all. He took out a pen and wrote a phone number on a crumpled piece of paper. Beautiful lady, I didn't overcharge you for the 100,000 yuan. My witchworms are all fed with wild medicinal herbs, and each one is worth at least 10,000 yuan. Don't you feel that the heart pain you've always had is gone now? That was just me temporarily suppressing it. When you're ready for a full cure, give me a call. It's really true. Since Chin Kellen had been a child, her heart would always feel like it was being pricked by needles whenever she had an episode. She hadn't even noticed that the usual needle-like pain had disappeared this time. She was puzzled but didn't know how to make sense of it. Watching Wuji walk away, she hesitated and stood still. It wasn't that she was worried about the 100,000 yuan, she was just afraid of falling for a scam. Leyland. An SUV roared over, and a woman in a police uniform jumped out. With short hair, a sharp, heroic face, and a curvy figure, her uniform was stretched to its limits. She waved her hand in front of Chin Kellen's face. What are you staring at, so lost in thought? Seeing her best friend, Chin Kellen was overjoyed. Feifei, what are you doing here? Fang Feifei looked her up and down. I was at the police station handling some matters, and I heard the crowd say a beautiful girl had fainted here and that a bumpkin had taken advantage of her. When I heard the description, it sounded like you, so I rushed over. And it really is you. But you seem fine now, didn't that guy take advantage of you? Well. Jean Kellen didn't hide anything from her best friend and told her everything that had happened that day, including the weird guy who kissed her, groped her, and wanted 100,000 yuan for a cure. Oh my god, this bumpkin. Fang Feifei was furious. How dare he really take advantage of you? Not only did he kiss you, but he actually groped your chest. You've never had a boyfriend, right? If it were me, I'd cut off his dirty hand and feed it to the dogs. And you, Leyland, you actually gave him 10,000 yuan. I'd kick him 10,000 times, no less. That's it, I'm going after him. Meanwhile, Wu Ji had left Jean Kellen and was heading towards the bar street. It was a busy night in the bar district, but in the afternoon, it was quiet with only a few disheartened staff cleaning up. Wu Ji carefully scanned the signs on the side of the street, and finally found his destination, Dottie Entertainment Club. Chapter 2, The Tribe's Traitor. The Dottie Entertainment Club was the largest entertainment venue on the entire bar street. It had 7 floors and was famous throughout Long City as a money-draining pit. As long as you had enough cash, you could enjoy any service you desired here. At this moment, the Dottie Entertainment Club was not yet open for business, but inside, the lights were blazing, and the golden, resplendent decorations made the place look like a palace. Wu Ji walked straight in. A cleaning staff member quickly called out, "Sir, we haven't started business yet." Wu Ji replied, "I'm looking for Shen Gongtu." "You're looking for boss too?" "He's resting right now. Come back in the evening." The staff member looked at Wu Ji with curiosity. Wu Ji calmly said, "Tell him Wu Jin is here, and he'll see me." Seeing how confident Wu Ji was, the staff member figured he must be related to Boss 2 in some way, so she grabbed the walkie-talkie. "Scorpion, someone is looking for Boss 2. He says his name is Wu Jin." A few minutes later, a man in his 30s walked over. He was tall, his eyes sharp, giving off an aura of boundless energy. His eagle-like nose radiated ambition. When he saw Wu Ji, his eyes flashed with coldness and a hint of wariness, as if he was deeply afraid of Wu Ji. "Young Wu, it's really you." Shen Gongtu laughed and gave Wu Ji a big bear hug. "My men told me Wu Jin was here to see me. I thought it was someone with the same name. Turns out it's really Young Wu. Let go." Wu Ji's face darkened, and he said coldly, "We're not close." The staff members around them changed color at once, quickly retreating. This kid is looking for trouble. He is standing right in front of Long City's top boss, the ruthless 13th bodyguard of the Green Dragon. If he dares speak like this to Boss 2, he is practically asking for death. Everyone expected a bloody scene to unfold at any moment. "Har har, Young Wu, you're still as straightforward as when you were a kid." However, Shen Gongtu just showed an awkward expression and laughed loudly. "Come on, let us go upstairs. I'll treat you well." "Huh." The staff members were dumbfounded. Who is this Young Wu? He is throwing shade at Boss 2 like that, and yet he hasn't been torn apart. They walked through their VIP passage and entered a lavish office adorned with gold and jewels. "Have some tea." Shen Gongtu respectfully poured a cup of tea. His eyes flickered with malice, and he started asking questions. "Young Wu, I've heard that you have the body of 10 beasts, and that you're the most talented person in the history of the Witch Path. You're also the only person in the last few hundred years to enter the Shenong Temple. The great priest must have great plans for you, so why did he let you come down the mountain? The fierce beast is about to be born." Wu Ji furrowed his brows slightly, a hint of sadness flashing across his face. "The great priest sent me down the mountain to collect for types of heavenly treasures to help me achieve the body of a great witch and face the coming catastrophe caused by the fierce beast. The witch path was the cultivation method of ancient humans. In ancient times, the energy in the world was abundant, and many powerful fierce beasts were born, making human survival extremely difficult. Some extraordinarily talented humans were able to communicate with the world's energy and created the witch path to cultivate. This allowed humans to firmly establish themselves on the earth, enabling them to prosper and multiply. The witch path was the path of human protection, the earliest path of cultivation. In many countries, the witch culture was the foundation of ancient civilizations. In China, the witch path cultivation was divided into 5 levels: little witch, great witch, witch king, witch saint, and witch god. However, since the heyday of the witch path in ancient times, most of the celestial treasures used for cultivation had been exhausted, and there hadn't been any powerful practitioners of the witch path for centuries. Now, even achieving the body of a great witch was difficult. Damn it, what age are we living in, and there is still talk about fierce beasts being born. That old fool really has lost his mind. Thinking of that terrifying old man, Shingongtu couldn't help but shiver. He then cautiously asked, "Young Wu, what types of heavenly treasures do you need? I can help you look for them." That's exactly what I was thinking. Wuji didn't hide anything. The so-called heavenly treasures are the essence of the world's energy, each with its own attributes. I need 4 types: the essence of wood, 1,000-year-old ginseng, the essence of fire, the earth core fire jade, the essence of metal, the Taibaigang metal, and the essence of water, the ice soul cold pearl. The great priest foresaw that the 1,000-year-old ginseng will appear in Long City soon. 1,000-year-old ginseng. Damn, it's already hard to find even a few 100-year-old ginseng, let alone 1,000-year-old ginseng. Is the old fool really sending you to find it, or is he just trying to cause trouble for me? Shingongtu was filled with hesitation, but his curiosity was piqued. He carefully said, "Long City is so big, finding a 1,000-year-old ginseng won't be easy. Since the great priest can predict things, why not go back and have him predict again, to see who actually has the ginseng?" The great priest can no longer predict. Wuji closed his eyes, and the sadness he couldn't hide became even more apparent. When he predicted the birth of the fierce beast, he exhausted his energy. Then, when he helped me predict the location of the heavenly treasures, he finally burnt out and returned to the earth. What? That old man is dead. When Shingongtu heard that the great priest had returned to the earth, he jumped up in shock, his face filled with extreme joy. The great priest was the spiritual leader of the witch tribe. In recent years, as society developed, the youth of the tribe gradually began to leave the mountains. However, since they knew little about the world outside, some people would coax the great priest into giving them advice. The great priest was not stingy. For those young people with outstanding talent, he would bestow the witch initiation technique upon them, allowing these youths to achieve the body of a little witch, giving them the strength to protect themselves. Moreover, each youth was given a small piece of witch king bone to nourish their bodies, ensuring their health and preventing disease. However, the witch king bone wasn't given out for free. Every youth who received it had to send back 1/3 of their annual income to help the impoverished tribe. Shingongtu had received the witch king bone and, a few years ago, had sent some money back to the tribe. But recently, upon hearing that the great priest was growing older, he had broken his promise and stopped sending any money, not caring at all about the welfare of the tribe's people. When he saw Wuji this time, he thought the great priest had sent this kid to cause trouble. He didn't know that the old fool had passed away. Now, there was nothing to be afraid of anymore. The tribe still had many valuable items. The small piece of witch king bone he had once taken had been eyed by powerful figures. Now that the old fool was dead, the tribe was left with only the old and weak. He could bring a group of people back to the tribe to loot and get rich quick. Coming to the big city to sell these treasures, he would instantly become a billionaire and live a carefree life. Shingongtu. Upon hearing this ungrateful man dare to speak ill of the great priest, whom he respected most, Wuji clenched his fists, his teeth grinding, and stood up. "You received the great priest's favor and achieved the body of a little witch. Now you have turned your back on that, and dare to insult the great priest. You are truly heartless. What's conscience worth?" Shingongtu sneered disdainfully at Wuji and laughed. "You think just because I called you young witch master, you actually think you're important. You still dare to show me disrespect. The old man is dead, and what are you, a country bumpkin, now? But that old fool had a lot of treasures. Now that he has gone, everything is yours, right? You must have quite a few things in that bag of yours. Hand them over to me, and I'll let you have some food. You can follow me and live a good life. You're still thinking about the tribe's treasures." Wuji gritted his teeth, his eyes filled with rage as he spoke slowly. "It seems you've been thinking like this for a long time. I can't leave you alive. Can't leave me alive? Do you think you're worthy?" Shingongtu looked down on Wuji and lay back lazily in his chair. He snapped his fingers. More than 10 young men with steel pipes and machetes surrounded Wuji, exuding murderous intent. Each one looked like a vicious thug. Wuji didn't even glance at the group of men and said coldly, Shingongtu, is this your trump card? Do you really think a bunch of rotten eggs and squishy tomatoes can deal with me? Let us see if they can handle you. Shingongtu sneered and waved his hand. Brothers, take action. But don't kill him. It's enough to break his arms and legs. I still need to ask our young witch master where all the treasures of the tribe are hidden. Got it, boss too. Country bumpkin, dare to insult us with rotten eggs and squishy tomatoes. Brothers, get him. The thugs, who had long been pissed off by Wuji's contempt, immediately swung their steel pipes and metal rods from all directions toward Wuji. Steel pipes and machetes came crashing down. These were Shingongtu's most experienced subordinates, battle-hardened veterans. Their coordination was flawless, and the angles of their attacks were cunning, making it almost impossible to dodge. Even someone as experienced as Shingongtu would know that, in this situation, the only way to survive would be to huddle down and minimize the damage. Wuji's expression remained calm. It wasn't until the first steel pipe was about to hit his head that he reached out and grabbed some sand nearby. Whoosh! The hundreds of pounds of solid wood sand felt like a twig in Wuji's hands. He easily swung it around. With one horizontal sweep, over 10 young men were sent flying like rags. Steel pipes and machetes clattered to the ground. Arr! The group of over 10 men screamed in horror, looking at Wuji as if he were a monster. Is he even human? He swung that hundreds of pounds sand like it was nothing. The strength is unbelievable. A bunch of useless fools. More than 10 of you can't even handle a little kid, and I still have to do it myself. Looking at his subordinates lying on the ground, howling and rolling in pain, Shingongtu slowly stood up, dusting off his sleeves. He bent his right leg and stepped forward with his left foot, assuming a combat stance, both defensive and offensive. So this is the legendary body of 10 beasts. Truly incredible strength. But fighting isn't about raw power alone. Over the years, I've learned from martial arts masters. I've reached the second stage of martial arts, the dark force, where lifting heavy weights feels as light as a feather. Against you, a wild ox with only brute strength, it's more than enough. The witch initiation fused the essence of wild beasts into the human body, creating the body of a little witch. When Shingongtu underwent the witch initiation, he fused the essence of 3 wild wolves into his body, greatly enhancing his physical prowess. But the great priest didn't teach any combat techniques. However, after leaving the tribe, Shingongtu studied martial arts, and with his little witch body, his martial skills skyrocketed. In just a few years, he had reached the second stage of dark force. Boss 2 is making a move. This kid is definitely dead. Back in the day, more than 20 knife-wielding men surrounded Boss 2, but under his dark force, none of them survived. Boss 2 became famous in one battle and rose to become one of the 13 bodyguards under the Green Dragon. This kid is definitely doomed. As soon as Shingongtu made his move, the thugs immediately started to cheer and egg him on, as if they had already seen Wuji's end. Chapter 3, Heart-Eating Worm. Har! A thunderous roar erupted as Shingongtu suddenly vanished from his position. In the next instant, he appeared in front of Wuji, delivering a punch aimed straight at his head. The punch carried the force of 10,000 jun, accompanied by the faint sound of wind, thunder, and the roar of a tiger. It was fast and fierce beyond measure. The group of thugs only saw a blur, and before they knew it, Shingongtu's fist was already upon them. But the country bumpkin Wuji seemed so shocked that he didn't make a single move. This kid is finished. The thugs prepared to cheer, and even Shingongtu showed a victorious smile. Slap! As if stunned, Wuji lazily raised his hand and casually pointed his finger at Shingongtu's thunderous fist. Thud! Shingongtu's face turned pale. His mighty punch, which had seemed unstoppable, came to a sudden halt. His entire arm began to tremble, and his body started to shrink as though the finger that stopped his punch was not just a finger but a heavy golden cudgel weighing tens of thousands of pounds. Even as he roared and brought his other hand to bear, he couldn't stop that single finger. It pressed down, forcing him to kneel, unable to straighten his back, with a loud thud as he collapsed to the ground. Arr! More than 10 thugs rubbed their eyes in disbelief. This guy used just a finger to make Boss 2 kneel. Was this still a human? HMPH. Wuji shook his head in disappointment. Witchcraft is the source of all magic and power. It is the greatest force. As a member of the witch tribe, instead of seeking the power of witchcraft, you foolishly chose to learn martial arts. How incredibly stupid. Why, young witch master, I was wrong. That delicate finger pressed down on Shingongtu as if a great mountain was crushing him. It felt like one wrong move and he would be utterly destroyed. Terrified, Shingongtu quickly realized that Wuji must have inherited the true teachings of the old man. He immediately begged for mercy. Please spare me, please, don't kill me. I can help you find heavenly treasures. This is all you're good for. Wuji withdrew his finger and waved his hand casually, as though shooing away a fly. He slapped Shingongtu across the face. Otherwise, with your insult to the great priest, betrayal of the tribe, and plotting against our ancestral heritage, I should have killed you today. Bang! Shingongtu was sent flying like a baseball, crashing into the wall with a loud bang, the entire room shaking. Oh! The group of thugs were terrified, their hearts almost stopping. They couldn't believe that the once invincible boss 2 was so easily crushed in front of this country bumpkin. No, this monster. Just moments ago, they had foolishly attacked, completely sealing their own fate. Get lost. Wuji's eyes flickered like lightning, and the thugs immediately scattered in fear. Wuji kicked Shingongtu, who was lying on the ground, coughing up blood. From his waist pouch, he pulled out a strange-looking insect. Heart-eating worm. The moment Shingongtu saw the centipede-like creature, he was jolted as if struck by lightning. He sprang up and ran toward the door, wishing he had more legs to escape faster. Slap. Without even glancing at him, Wuji casually swung his hand again. Boom. Shingongtu, who had barely managed 2 steps, was sent flying like a ragdoll and slammed into the wall again, spitting another mouthful of blood. But he didn't care about that. Looking at the strange bug that Wuji was holding, he became as terrified as a woman about to be violated by 10 men. He shook his head frantically. No, young witch master, please, don't. I know I was wrong, give me a chance to turn over a new leaf. I won't dare again. Unless I'm a fool, I would never believe someone like you who is untrustworthy. Grabbing Shingongtu by the neck, Wuji squeezed it so hard that his eyes rolled back and his mouth opened wide. Wuji loosened his fingers just slightly, and the strange bug was pushed into Shingongtu's mouth. Shingongtu clutched his neck, rolling on the ground, vomiting uncontrollably. He spewed out nothing but bitter water, and no bugs came out. Feeling something inside his heart, Shingongtu realized that the heart-eating worm had already taken root inside him. With a deep sigh, he collapsed to the ground like a pile of mud, accepting his fate. Young witch master, I know I was wrong. From now on, this life belongs to you. Whatever you need, I will do everything in my power. The heart-eating worm was a cruel punishment in the tribe. It was fed to those who had committed unforgivable crimes. Once the master of the worm focused their mind, the person who had the worm implanted would immediately begin to experience unbearable pain in their heart. If the situation became severe, the worm would devour their heart, causing death. The most important thing was that once the master of the worm died, the heart-eating worm would lose control and immediately devour the host's heart, killing them both. In simple terms, Shingongtu's life and death were now in Wuji's hands. If Wuji were to die, the worm would devour Shingongtu's heart, and they would die together. Wuji coldly snorted. Where's the Witch King bone? The Witch King bone. Shingongtu instantly panicked, dropping to his knees with a loud thud, kowtowing in fear. Please, young witch master, forgive me. The Witch King bone. I gave it away. Slap. Wuji slapped the coffee table, smashing it to pieces. His face turned ashen. How dare you? Do you not know the significance of the Witch King bone to our tribe? It is the bone of our ancestors. It protected the tribe during their lives, and after death, it guards the health of future generations. The great priest repeatedly warned that the Witch King bone must never be lost. How dare you give it away? Please, young witch master, spare me. Shingongtu lowered himself even further. A powerful figure saw the Witch King bone and realized it could nourish the body, so he asked me for it. His strength was too great, and I dared not refuse, so I gave it to him. You coward. Wuji frowned. Who was this person? Shingongtu hesitated, then finally stammered, Ching. Long. Wuji suddenly stood up, his eyes fierce. A powerful name indeed. Where is he now? Young witch master, you want to find him. Realizing Wuji's intentions, Shingongtu's face changed dramatically. He quickly said, this Qing Long is no ordinary person. There are three major figures in Long City: Qing Long, Emila, and the Black Widow. The most powerful is Qing Long. He controls over half of Long City's territory by himself. Moreover, he has many talented subordinates. There's Zhu Juan, who is known as the Divine Fortune Teller, and the four great protectors who lead the 13 bodyguards. I am just one of the 13 bodyguards, and not the strongest. I know you, young witch master, have the body of 10 beasts. You are naturally strong, and you're comparable to the Western Chu hegemon, Xiang Yu, or the god of death, Bai Qi. If we were in the cold weapon era, you would be an unrivaled hero who could lift the heavy cauldron and defeat 10,000 enemies. But now, in the age of technology, it's the era of firearms. Qing Long's subordinates have access to firearms. The young witch master is our tribe's last hope. If any harm were to come to him because of me, I, Shingongtu, would deserve to die 1,000 times over. Moreover, Qing Long's movements are unpredictable, constantly traveling across the country. I am only a core member under his command, not part of his inner circle, so I don't know his exact whereabouts. This mistake was mine, so please, young witch master, give me a chance to redeem myself. I will find a way to bring back the Witch King bone. Please, young witch master, reconsider. The relics of our ancestors should never fall into the hands of outsiders. Wuji coldly snorted. As soon as you hear any news about Qing Long, inform me immediately. The relics of our ancestors must be recovered. Oh! Shingongtu's face changed drastically, and he silently cursed the foolishness of his actions. He quickly lowered his head and cupped his hands in apology. Yes, young witch master. As soon as I get news of Qing Long's whereabouts, I will inform you immediately. Also, since you are new here, I have a high-end apartment in the east side of the city. It's yours, young witch master, please accept it. High-end apartment. Wuji scoffed. What kind of high-end apartment is that? It's just a noisy, chaotic place with unstable energy. I'll find my own place to stay. Thinking of the great priestess warning that he should go to Long City No. 1 High School to search for the 1,000-year-old ginseng, Wuji waved his hand dismissively and said with a cold expression, arrange it. I need to go to Long City No. 1 High School. Shingongtu's face immediately became bitter. Young witch master, you know that fighting and killing are my strengths, but when it comes to school, I'm clueless. I heard that finding a good school these days is almost as difficult as claiming a territory of my own. Wuji narrowed his eyes. You can't handle such a small matter. What use are you? Shingongtu's face went pale with fear, and he quickly pulled a bank card from his pocket, forcing a smile. Please calm down, young witch master. I was wrong. Since you're new here, you'll probably have many expenses. This card contains 100,000 yuan, my savings over the years. Please, take it and use it. 100,000. Wuji glanced at the bank card, a cold smile forming on his lips as his dragon-like eyebrows arched. You've been in this place for so many years, and you've even become a well-known member of the 13 bodyguards, yet you've saved only 100,000. What a great accomplishment. Young witch master, please spare me. A sharp pain shot through Shingongtu's heart, and he no longer dared to deceive Wuji. With a loud thud, he knelt down, quickly pulling out another card. This card contains all my savings, a total of 120,000. The rest, I've spent on buying houses. If you need more, I can sell them immediately. I estimate they could fetch around 5 to 6 million. Forget it. Wuji grabbed the two cards, his face darkened. Keep the houses. Consider this the punishment for your betrayal over the years. Do you know any quick ways to make money? Shingongtu cautiously replied, there are many ways to make quick money, young witch master. How much do you want to make? I don't know. Wuji furrowed his brow and shook his head with a bitter expression. I once inquired at a pharmacy. Wild ginseng that's 200 or 300 years old costs 500,000 yuan. I can't even imagine how expensive 1,000-year-old ginseng might be. Besides the ginseng, there's also earth core fire jade, Taibaigan gold, ice soul cold pearl. These are all spiritual treasures that I need to cultivate the great witch's body. In the future, when I encounter these things, I can't just take them by force. I'll have to buy them with money. As for how much they will cost, how would I know? I can only earn as much as I can, so I'm prepared for anything. Oh! Shingongtu was stunned for a moment. After a pause, he cautiously said, "You're right, young witch master. Purchasing these items to cultivate the great witch's body will surely cost a fortune. Our tribe has many relics left by our ancestors. Though they are of no use in the tribe, they are priceless antiques outside. Just selling one or two of them could fetch astronomical sums." Pfft. Before he could finish his sentence, Shingongtu was sent flying again, crashing into the wall with a spray of blood. Wu Ji's face was ashen as he slapped Shingongtu, his voice ice cold. "Shut up, you spineless fool! How dare you even think of selling the relics of our ancestors? Even if I don't cultivate the great witch's body, I would never sell our ancestors' treasures. If you ever suggest such a thing again, I will have you killed on the spot. Young witch master, please spare me." Shingongtu repeatedly kowtowed, his face bitter. "I'm only thinking about you cultivating the great witch's body. I have no selfish intentions. I've already been marked with the heart-eating worm, and all I care about now is your well-being and strength. Don't ever bring it up again. If you hear any news about the Witch King Bone, contact me using this number." Wu Ji quickly scribbled a series of numbers on the wooden table, and then walked out with large strides. "Who?" Seeing the carved numbers on the chair, Shingongtu wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and couldn't help but marvel. The body of 10 beasts is truly terrifying. I wonder how much true inheritance the great priest passed down to him along with that mysterious, godlike ability. Chapter 4. The policewoman arrives. The sky gradually darkens, the surrounding neon lights light up, and the bar street slowly becomes lively. Wu Jin is full of curiosity about these things, but he is not in a hurry. He just wanders around casually, eats roadside snacks, feels the surrounding spiritual energy, and looks for an ideal place to live. The city is noisy with people, car horns, and shop music. Let alone the spiritual energy, Wu Jin can't accept this noise. The clock tower struck 11 times, and Wu Jin unknowingly arrived at Panlongshan Park in the suburbs. This park was just built this year. It is located on Panlong Mountain, between the city and the suburbs. Near the foot of the mountain near the city is a famous villa community in Longcheng City. The people living in it are all big names in Longcheng. And at the foot of the mountain near the suburbs, there are ordinary farmers. However, from the construction of a large park here, it can be seen that the city is going to expand to this side. Those ordinary farmers will be demolished households in the future. Once the demolition begins, they will immediately become the second generation of demolition, and they are also rich people. Wu Jin searched for a whole night and thought that the spiritual energy of this seldom visited park was barely enough. Now that it was late at night, he casually lay down on a bench in the park. For Wu Jin, who grew up in the mountains, sleeping in the park was already very safe. He didn't have to worry about becoming a meal for venomous snakes and beasts at any time. He slept until dawn and was awakened by a cat's cry. Wu Jin looked up and saw a young woman with a ponytail and a pink sportswear squatting on the ground, constantly taking out food from the basket next to her and sending it to a group of stray dogs and cats around. Those stray cats were very intimate with the woman, and it could be seen that the woman must come here often. As if she felt Wu Jin's gaze, the woman turned around and smiled slightly. Wu Jin's eyes suddenly brightened. This was a woman whose face was no less than Qin Kellen's. She stood up at this time. She was at least 1.7 meters tall. The sportswear could not cover her hot body at all. Her peaks were upright, her waist was well proportioned, and her hips were exquisitely curved. With a gentle smile, she was wearing a set of sportswear and a ponytail, and she looked like a big sister next door. No, she was a super beautiful, elegant, loving, and hot big sister. Wu Jin was hesitating whether to strike up a conversation, when a roar came from afar, and a white SUV with small police lights flashing on the roof stopped in front of Wu Jin with an emergency brake. A woman rushed down from the car, and it was Qin Kellen's best friend Fang Feifei. Seeing the woman feeding stray cats, Fang Feifei's pupils shrank. Why is she here? Wu Jin's eyes lit up. It was worth it to find a good place to sleep yesterday. I woke up today and had such a strong peach blossom luck. This beautiful girl is heroic, and she is no worse than Qin Kellen and this big sister next door. It can be said that they have their own merits. The only flaw is that her eyes are full of bloodshot. Follow me. Grabbing Wu Jin's arm, Fang Feifei said nothing, pulled him directly to the back seat, started the engine and stepped on the accelerator and drove away. Wu Jin, who had not ridden in a private car many times, looked at the interior decoration curiously. Hey, beauty, this is our first meeting, you are too proactive, aren't you? Fang Feifei looked at Wu Jin in surprise. Aren't you afraid of being forced into the car by me? What am I afraid of as a grown man? Can you still molest me? Wu Jin glared, crossed his arms, and asked weakly like a little white rabbit in a cage, you don't really want to drag me to a deserted place and molest me? Oh, help! Fang Feifei raised her fist, and suddenly put it down, with a wicked smile on the corner of her mouth. After stepping on the accelerator, the SUV roared out, with a beautiful tailspin, and Wu Jin's face immediately came into close contact with the car window. I say, beautiful lady, be careful. Even if you like me and want to commit suicide with me, you have to tell me your name first, right? Wu Jin tightly grasped the pull ring on the roof of the car, his face pale. Relying on his skills, Wu Jin was pulled into the car by a girl. He didn't care at all. I don't think she could do anything to him. Who knew that this girl was so violent and drove the car like a bumper car? This is a winding mountain road. If the car overturns, not to mention my little witch body, even the indestructible body of Diamond can be broken into pieces. Seeing Wu Jin's face turn red and white from the rearview mirror, Fang Feifei smiled proudly. Are you convinced? Wu Jin nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. I am convinced, beautiful lady, drive slower. Slow down. Fang Feifei said proudly, do you dare to tease women? Wu Jin immediately shook his head like a rattle. Fang Feifei then slowly slowed down the car. At least at this moment, Wu Jin was really afraid of this desperate girl. Not to mention teasing, he dared not say a word. Fang Feifei snorted coldly, you bastard, why is your phone turned off? Lan Lan couldn't get through to you. I had to check the surveillance cameras in the middle of the night to find you. Originally, I wanted to settle accounts with this bastard for daring to take advantage of my best friend. Who knew that when I took my best friend to the hospital for a checkup, her health was much better than before? When the uncle and aunt heard about this situation, they all agreed that they had met a folk doctor and might really be able to cure their daughter with folk methods. However, the phone number Wu Jin left was not connected, so he had to ask Fang Feifei from the criminal police team to find someone. Lan Lan. Wu Jin was stunned for a moment, thinking of the beautiful woman in a yellow dress yesterday, Qin Kellen. A high-end ward with a bathroom, toilet, and furniture. Qin Kellen was lying on the bed playing with her mobile phone. Next to the bed sat a middle-aged beautiful woman full of nobility. She looked 70% similar to Qin Kellen and must have been a great beauty when she was young. Seeing Fang Feifei leading Wu Jin in, the beautiful middle-aged woman stood up quickly. Fang Feifei hadn't slept all night. She said hello to the beautiful middle-aged woman, then lay down on the accompanying bed next to her and dozed off. The beautiful middle-aged woman asked Wu Jin to sit down at the table and introduced herself. I am Qin Kellen's mother Liu Shujing. Thank you Mr. Wu for helping me yesterday. I only have Lan Lan as my daughter. If anything happens to her, I really don't know what to do. Lan Lan told me that Mr. Wu once said that as long as we pay 100,000 yuan, this disease can be cured. Qin Kellen glanced at Wu Jin, and couldn't help blushing when she remembered the kiss and breast pressing yesterday. Wu Jin waved his hand and said casually, Auntie, you are too polite. I have been paid to help others get rid of disasters. Since I have received the money, it is my duty to treat the disease. You asked me to come here today. Do you want to cure it? I am a roulette wheeler, and I never bargain. 100,000 yuan, I will cure Qin Kellen. Before Liu Shujing answered, the door of the ward opened again, and Qin Kellen's father Qin Wanli came in with a handsome male doctor in a white coat. Auntie Liu, I know you are worried about Lanlan's illness, but why do you start to believe these charlatans? The handsome male doctor glanced at Wu Jin with disgust, and then reached out to touch Qin Kellen's forehead and asked gently, Lan Lan, how do you feel today? Very good. Although Qin Kellen smiled slightly, her eyebrows were slightly frowned, and her pretty little head turned away lightly. The handsome male doctor was a little embarrassed. When he saw Wu Jin not far away, he was immediately furious and said arrogantly, I am Qin Kellen's attending physician Xu Chaoan, a doctor who studied in the United States. With me here, I advise you to give up the idea of cheating here and get out quickly, otherwise I will call the police to arrest you. Who is this person? Why is he so aggressive and calls me a liar? Wu Jin was a little confused by the retort and turned to Liu Shujing and asked, Auntie, is he really as awesome as he says? Western medicine emphasizes science and does not believe in folk remedies. After comforting Wu Jin, Liu Shujing changed the subject and said, however, Dr. Xu is indeed very powerful. It is not just that he studied in the United States. He has also published papers in many well-known international journals and is quite authoritative in related fields. He is a young backbone in our province's medical industry and the youngest attending physician in our city and even the entire province. Wu Jin was even more surprised. He is so awesome, how can he not even cure this little problem? Little problem. Wu Jin's words immediately ignited Xu Chaoan, who was furious and said, what nonsense! Do you know what disease Lan Lan has? It's a congenital disease. The blood carries bacteria throughout the body and will corrode the heart. Even a heart transplant and a whole body blood transfusion are useless. As long as there is a blood cell carrying bacteria that is not removed, it is not considered cured. This disease is very rare. There is currently no effective treatment plan in the world. Only conservative treatment can be used. Doctors all over the world are helpless, but you say it is a minor illness. It's not. What is the liar who sells powerful pills on the overpass? Wu Jin said while drinking tea, isn't it just infected with blood-sucking worms? You made it sound so weird for such a small problem. You still say I am a liar. I think you are a big liar. This girl's heart has been gnawed by blood-sucking worms. It is said that quack doctors harm people. I have seen it today. If you continue to treat her, I am afraid she will not live for 3 years. When Liu Shujing heard this, her face turned pale and she almost lost her balance. She sat down with the help of a chair. Xu Chaoan suddenly laughed angrily. Since you keep saying it's a minor illness, do you have any treatment plan? I'm all ears. Wu Jin took an orange from the fruit plate and peeled it while casually saying, what treatment plan is needed for a minor illness that can be cured in a few minutes? Xu Chaoan sneered, how shameless. I'm watching you treat it here. Don't say a few minutes, I'll give you half an hour. Wu Jin rolled his eyes and said, you are not a patient, and you are not a family member. You can treat it if you say so. You will pay me if you cure it. Xu Chaoan choked suddenly. Wu Jin turned his head to look at Liu Shujing and asked, Auntie, you tell me, do you want to treat it or not? Liu Shujing was also undecided at this time. From the bottom of her heart, she believed in Xu Chaoan more. After all, Xu Chaoan was a very famous doctor. Qin Kellen's illness has become more and more serious in the past 6 months. Every time she has an attack, it takes several days to get out of bed even if she is rescued in time. Wu Jin took action casually, and Qin Kellen recovered immediately. Judging from what he did yesterday, Wu Jin is probably a folk master. But this folk master seems a little too young. Seeing Liu Shujing hesitate, Wu Jin slapped his thigh and walked out the door. It's just a minor problem, why are you hesitating? Forget it, after I checked yesterday, Qin Kellen will not have another attack for at least 3 months. Come to me when you have made up your mind. I have something else to do, so I'm leaving first. Chapter 5 Frame Up. Mr. Wu, don't be angry. After all, Lan Lan is my only daughter, so I have to think about it. Liu Shujing quickly grabbed Wu Jin and said, excuse me, Mr. Wu, are there any risks in your treatment? Wu Jin was speechless now. Auntie, I said it's a minor illness, just like a headache or a fever, what risks can there be? Besides, I'm a living person here. If something happens to her, can I still run away? Liu Shujing thought it made sense. She looked at Qin Wanli, gritted her teeth, and said, we will treat it. Wu Jin confirmed again, is the money ready? Liu Shujing even she hurriedly assured, as long as Mr. Wu can cure Lanlan's illness, not to mention 100,000 yuan, even 1 million yuan is no problem. Wu Jin shook his head and said, I have always been honest and trustworthy. If I say 100,000 yuan, it means 100,000 yuan. Now that we have decided, let's start. Liu Shujing was stunned, start now? Doesn't Mr. Wu need to prepare? Wu Jin was speechless again, Auntie, I'll say it again, it's just a minor illness. No surgery, no medicine, what's the preparation? Xu Chaoan hated Wu Jin so much that he wanted Wu Jin to be exposed as soon as possible. At that time, he would humiliate Wu Jin and then throw him out. Xu Chaoan stood up and said to Liu Shujing, Aunt Liu, I'll watch here. It's okay. Let him do it. I also want to see what clever tricks he has. Seeing that no one objected, Wu Jin walked to the bed and asked Qin Kellen, what about you? Are you ready? Qin Kellen has been plagued by illness for many years. Once she gets sick, her heart feels as uncomfortable as being stabbed by a needle all the time. Never mind. Even if it can't be cured, can it be worse? Even if I die, it's better than being in agony. Chin Kellen made a decision in her heart and nodded to Wu Jin. Then let's start. Wu Jin took off the black waste bag from his waist, which was neatly lined with rows of bamboo tubes. He took out a bamboo tube, poured out a worm, pinched it between his fingers and said with some heartache, "This one won't work, it's too fat, it's a waste to use it for such a minor illness." Oh, worms. Seeing that worms were really used to treat diseases, Liu Jingshu and Qin Wanli were dumbfounded and wanted to stop it immediately. After all, it was too unbelievable. However, their daughter was also saved by feeding worms yesterday, which gave them some hope. Qin Kellen even closed her eyes, her body trembled, and her scalp began to numb. Swindler, playing tricks. Xu Chaoan smiled contemptuously, with a hint of venom in his eyes. Let you fool me for a while, and once you say you are cured, I will take Lan Lan for a checkup immediately, and use the results to slap you in the face, and then call the police for illegal medical practice and fraud, and arrest you. This is more like it. He took out another bamboo tube and poured out a few thin and long, almost transparent worms. Wu Jin was somewhat satisfied. Although they are a little thin, it would be better to use a few more. They are the most restraining blood-sucking worms. Just right, just right. I don't want to eat worms, I don't want to eat worms. Although it was not the first time that Qin Kellen ate worms, she fainted last time. How could it be as shocking as watching it happen with her own eyes? Now seeing this guy being so picky, he immediately felt sick in his heart, and covered his mouth with his hands and shook his head desperately. Girls are just hypocritical. What's wrong with eating insects? It can cure diseases. Wu Jin stretched out his hand and Qin Kellen closed her eyes and fell asleep. Wu Jin put his fingers together like swords, and his eyes could see through Qin Kellen's body. He concentrated on moving his fingers quickly, constantly tapping Qin Kellen's acupuncture points, either blocking blood vessels or stimulating acupuncture points to speed up blood flow. From time to time, he took out transparent little insects from the bamboo tube and fed them to Qin Kellen's mouth. Wu Jin fed Qin Kellen 9 insects in total. Seeing that the witch insects had already traveled all over her body, he stretched out his hand and tapped Qin Kellen's neck. After a while, Qin Kellen woke up slowly. Huh! It was only a few minutes after she slept and woke up, but Qin Kellen was surprised to find that she felt like she had put down a huge burden. All the pain caused by poor blood flow before disappeared without a trace. Wu Jin clapped his hands. It's done. It's done now. The stubborn disease that has troubled the Qin family for so many years and all the experts are helpless to cure is cured so simply. Not to mention Xu Chaoan, even Liu Shujing and Qin Wanli are a little skeptical. Wu Jin nodded confidently. If you are worried, go check it yourself. Don't you have any high-tech equipment? Okay, check it immediately. Xu Chaoan sneered and thought to himself, wait until the test results come out, I'll see how you, a liar, can play tricks. Liu Shujing and his wife agreed immediately. Whether Wu Jin is a swindler or a miracle doctor, it depends on the test results in a while. Fei Fei. Fang Fei Fei fell asleep as soon as she arrived at the ward. When she was woken up in a daze, she immediately shouted when she heard that Qin Kellen's illness was cured. Oh, it's only been half an hour, and he said he cured Lanlan's illness. How is it possible? Let's go. Check it out. A group of people immediately prepared to take Qin Kellen for a checkup. Wu Jin didn't care about the excitement and suspicion of the crowd. He sat at the table humming a little song and peeled oranges by himself. Pretend to be calm. Wait until the test results come out. I wonder if you can still sit still. Glancing at Wu Jin sarcastically, Xu Chaoan said to the nurse at the door, go and call 2 strong security guards to come over. Don't let this liar run away. The nurse immediately called the security guard. Xu Chaoan then took the elevator to the examination room downstairs and asked others to wait outside the examination room. Xu Chaoan took Qin Kellen in. All kinds of examinations in the hospital are very fast. Usually, people think it is slow, mainly because it wastes time to hang up, queue up, and wait. With Xu Chaoan, the top doctor in the company, all these cumbersome procedures were waived, and the examination was immediately carried out, and the results came out on the spot. How is it possible? Under the nurse's surprised eyes, Xu Chaoan took the examination form, took a glance, and his face turned pale, shouting, impossible. This is impossible. Xu Chaoan carefully read the data on the examination form again. The examination results showed that Qin Kellen had recovered. Not only were there no bacteria in her blood, but her heart was also repaired, which was completely contrary to the common sense of Western medicine. But the examination form clearly stated the results in black and white. If someone else had done the examination, he would have suspected fraud, but this examination was obtained by him operating the instrument himself, so he had no choice but to believe it. In an instant, he understood that the bumpkin really used folk remedies to cure the stubborn disease that doctors all over the world were helpless. If this were to be spread out, what kind of earthquake-like sensation would it cause in the medical community? Unimaginable. Xu Chaoan didn't have the energy to think about these things. He was only concerned about what impact this matter would have on himself. He had been pursuing Qin Kellen because she was so beautiful. Besides, the Qin family was one of the top families in Longcheng city. Qin Kellen's father, Qin Wanli, was the director of the Municipal Education Bureau. Qin Kellen's mother, Liu Shujing, was also one of the most powerful women in the city. She was an entrepreneur valued by the province. She had 2 listed companies under her, supporting 1 or 2,000 people, and had made outstanding contributions to the city's taxation and easing employment pressure. The most important thing was that the couple had only one daughter, Qin Kellen. As long as he married Qin Kellen, wouldn't the Qin family's huge network of people and property belong to him? This was not to save 20 years of hard work, but to enjoy wealth and honor in this life even if he sat still. Therefore, any man who approached Qin Kellen would be instinctively pulled to the cordon by him. At the first sight of Wu Jin, he had an instinctive hostility towards Wu Jin, but he did not regard Wu Jin as an opponent. After all, Wu Jin was no different from the migrant workers on the construction site. He could kill them instantly in terms of appearance, temperament, knowledge and family background. Such a person was not worthy of being an opponent. If he hadn't been lucky enough to save Qin Kellen once, a guy like Wu Jin would have had to queue up for a month in advance to see him. But now, this migrant worker-like guy cured Qin Kellen easily, which was like a slap in his face. Qin Kellen recovered, and all his previous efforts and performances in front of the Qin family turned into nothing. What scared him even more was that he had repeatedly stopped Wu Jin from saving Qin Kellen, and coupled with his pursuit of Qin Kellen, he was suspected of murder for money. Any parent would not show mercy if they knew someone had bad intentions towards their child. Once the Qin family really got suspicious, they didn't need any evidence. With the power of the Qin family, it would be as easy as drinking water to get him kicked out of the hospital and ruined his reputation. No. I can't allow such a situation to happen. Xu Chaoan lost his usual demeanor, grasping his head with his hands, cold sweat streaming down his cheeks, and suddenly an idea flashed in his mind: what if the Qin family knew that Qin Kellen was not cured, and even worsened? Xu Chaoan became more and more excited as he thought about it, and he admired himself a little. In this way, not only would all his problems be solved, but Wu Jin would also be proved to be an out-and-out charlatan. After a while, he would do something casually, and then claim that he cured Qin Kellen. Then, he could not only win Qin Kellen's heart, but also become famous in the medical community. As long as Wu Jin was labeled as a liar, there would be no chance of turning over, and then he could get the secret recipe from Wu Jin. Xu Chaoan was even imagining the bright prospect of fame and fortune, and a beautiful woman in his arms. As for Wu Jin's fate, Xu Chaoan didn't consider it. He was not a kind person. The more miserable the people who were threatening him were, the better. Since he had made up his mind, the easier it would be. For a professional like Xu Chaoan, tampering with an examination result was as easy as drinking water. Seeing Xu Chaoan tampering with the examination result, the little nurse next to him immediately changed her face. Xu Chaoan smiled coldly at the little nurse and said, "If you dare to go out and talk nonsense, I will kill you. You didn't see anything today, understand?" Seeing Xu Chaoan's cold face, the little nurse felt like she was stared at by a poisonous snake and nodded in response. Chapter 6 Medical Master. Xu Chaoan adjusted his state and thought about his words, then walked out of the examination room with the examination form. Qin Wanli, Liu Shujing and Fang Feifei quickly surrounded him and asked, "Dr. Xu, how is it? Is Lan Lan healed?" Xu Chaoan sighed and said, "Aunt Liu, I told you not to believe in quacks, but you refused to listen. You always thought that a miracle would happen and you would meet a folk master. Maybe a folk remedy would cure Lan Lan. Alas. Hearing Xu Chaoan talking about this and that but not Qin Kellen's condition, Fang Feifei, who had a bad temper, couldn't stand it and asked directly, "Why are you talking about those useless things? Just tell me what Lanlan's condition is now." Xu Chaoan shook the examination form in his hand and said, "What's the situation? Lanlan is not only not healed, but her condition has worsened." Hearing Xu Chaoan's words, Liu Shujing's mind went blank. Thinking of Qin Kellen's condition, she quickly asked, "But I just saw that Lanlan's condition is better than before." Xu Chaoan immediately pretended to be angry and said indignantly, "I don't know what that kid used on Lanlan." "Well, it should be something like stimulants, so Lanlan's condition looks better than before, but in fact her condition has worsened." Xu Chaoan shook his head. This is the usual trick of those charlatans. First, they take advantage of the mentality of the patient's family, pretend to be a worldly expert, and then use the excuse of treatment to cheat money and sex, use some stimulants to make the patient look radiant, and finally get away with the benefits, without caring about the patient's life or death. "Auntie, you believe it now, this kid is an out-and-out liar." Fang Feifei gritted her teeth and said, "This kid is so hateful, others are terminally ill, and he is still cheating here. I will beat him to the ground and then throw him into prison for 10 or 8 years. Xu Chaoan couldn't help but feel proud in his heart. "Humph, kid, fight me in my territory, I won't kill you." Back to the door of the ward, Xu Chaoan deliberately walked at the back and whispered a few words to the security guard standing at the door. "Big liar." Fang Feifei pushed Qin Kellen back to the ward. Seeing Wu Jin still sitting leisurely drinking tea, she was immediately furious. She rushed to Wu Jin, grabbed his shirt and lifted him up. Wu Jin almost choked on his tea. "Fang Feifei, what are you crazy about? What's the point of pulling and tugging? Men and women should not touch each other. Let me go quickly. If you weren't a woman, I would break your hand." Xu Chaoan snorted coldly. "The scandal has been exposed, and you are getting angry and embarrassed, right? You are even hitting people. Scandal? What scandal?" Wu Jin looked confused and asked, "Is this how you treat your savior?" Fang Feifei saw that Wu Jin was still claiming to be Qin Kellen's savior at this time, and couldn't help but scolded, "At this time, you are still pretending. You said you can cure good Lanlan. Aunt Liu was eager to save her daughter and believed you. Who knew you actually used stimulants? Now Lanlan's condition has not only not been cured, but worsened. You are still brazenly saying that you are Lanlan's savior. Stimulants? Worsened? What's going on? It's obviously cured." Wu Jin was a little stunned, and then he woke up and said angrily, "Do you want to default on your debt?" Fang Feifei yelled, "You big-headed ghost, you still want money at this time, you really have no humanity." Wu Jin looked at Liu Shujing and Qin Wanli, and the couple looked sad, not like fake. Fang Feifei's anger didn't seem fake either. Qin Kellen originally believed Wu Jin, who knew Wu Jin was really a liar, and her eyes looking at Wu Jin were full of disappointment. Since she didn't want to default on her debt, this was strange. Did she fail to cure Qin Kellen? Wu Jin's eyes flashed with gold, and he looked at Qin Kellen. In Wu Jin's eyes, Qin Kellen's clothes disappeared layer by layer, then her skin, and finally her heart. Their heart, which was originally so weak that it seemed like it would stop beating at any time, has now been repaired by the witch bug and is beating strongly. Wu Jin struggled to break free from Fang Feifei's hand. Fang Feifei saw that Wu Jin was still being arrogant and was about to teach Wu Jin a lesson. Xu Chaoan had something to hide and naturally didn't want to make a big deal out of it, so he quickly stopped Fang Feifei. "Miss Fang, you are police officer, it's not good to hit people, I have seen many such liars, we will catch him and then hand him over to the police station for processing." Fang Feifei snorted coldly and turned her head away. Xu Chaoan waved to the security guards, and two burly security guards pulled out rubber batons and walked towards Wu Jin with a grim smile on their faces. "Boy, wait until we get outside and see how I deal with you." Xu Chaoan made a plan in his mind, but I have to get the secret recipe from him first. Wu Jin is definitely not a person who will not resist when being cheated. Although he doesn't know what went wrong, he can knock down two security guards in a few minutes. Just when Wu Jin was about to take action, the door of the ward opened again, and an old man with white beard walked in accompanied by a middle-aged man. Everyone stood up and greeted, "Mr. Wei, Dean." Seeing the tense atmosphere in the ward, even batons were used. Mr. Wei and the Dean frowned. The Dean asked the security guard angrily, "What are you doing? This is a high-end ward. Who allowed you to fight here?" The security guard saw that the dean was angry. If he was not careful, his job might be in danger. He dared not hide anything and said, "Dr. Shu said there is a liar here who is cheating. Let us come and drive him out." Seeing the dean staring at the baton, he quickly diverted the blame and diverted the dean's anger from himself. He whispered, "Dr. Shu said it would be best to teach this liar a lesson and let him remember it." Xu Chaoan's face changed drastically. It was just a little bit short. If the dean and Mr. Wei were a step later, Wu Jin would be thrown out. At that time, what the truth of the matter was, wouldn't it be up to him to say it? However, man proposes, God disposes. At this point, Xu Chaoan had no choice. He couldn't kill Wu Jin in front of so many people to silence him. He wanted to, but he didn't dare. Dealing with 2 security guards was just a small matter for Wu Jin, but now that the dean was here, this old Wei who could make the dean accompany him carefully must be no ordinary person. Wu Jin came to see a doctor to make money, and if there was a third party to prove it, Wu Jin would not want to do it. After such a thing happened, the dean was not happy, and waved his hand to let the security guards go out. Xu Chaoan forced a smile on his face. "Teacher Wei, Dean, why are you here?" The dean snorted coldly and ignored Xu Chaoan. On the contrary, old Wei smiled lightly and said slowly, "Xiaoshu, although you have been interning with me for a few days, there is no need to call me teacher. You can call me Professor Wei or Old Wei. The implication is obvious, you kid, don't try to make friends here, I don't know you well." Old Wei said to Qin Wanli, "I heard that a gentleman said he could cure Miss Qin's stubborn disease. I was really curious, so I came to see her. I hope Mr. Qin will forgive me for my rash visit." Old Wei is a well-known expert in China. He is very authoritative in related fields and a leading figure in the domestic medical community. He even worked as a private doctor for senior officials of the central government and is known as a master of Chinese medicine. Qin Wanli and his wife heard that Old Wei was retired and unemployed at home, so they visited him many times. Old Wei was also interested in Qin Kellen's rare disease, so he agreed to come out. Because of Qin Kellen, Old Wei often dealt with the Qin family and was very familiar with them. Qin Wanli said, "It is Lanlan's blessing that Mr. Wei can come." Mr. Wei said no more, looked at Qin Kellen on the bed, and couldn't help but curiously said, "Huh." Hearing Mr. Wei's sigh, everyone's heart was immediately tightened. Mr. Wei quickly explained, "Don't worry, I just saw that Miss Qin's complexion was very good, and I couldn't help but sigh." After that, he stretched out his hand to take the pulse, and Qin Kellen cooperated very well and stretched out her wrist. Mr. Wei listened to the pulse carefully, frowning and relaxing his eyebrows, and then making curious sounds, which made everyone's heart go up and down like a roller coaster. After a few minutes, Wei Lao's hand finally left Qin Kellen's wrist, and he sighed with a serious face, "Not only can the blood poison be completely cleared, but even the heart can be repaired. This is the magic hand of rejuvenation that takes away the destiny of heaven and earth. The world is so big, and there are indeed many talented people. I, Wei Ziki, can see such a master in my lifetime. I have no regrets in death, no regrets in death." After that, he took Qin Wanli's hand and asked, "I wonder who is the gentleman who treated Miss Qin? Can you introduce him? Old man, your beard is all white. Calling me sir makes me look old. My name is Wu Jin, just call me by my name." Being praised by a person who looks awesome, Wu Jin was also a little proud. "Old man, don't be polite. You have a good eye and can see how powerful I am at once. I told this beautiful aunt a long time ago that it's just a minor problem, but she is still worried about it." Wu Jin is such a person. If others provoke him, he will fight back mercilessly, but if others respect him, he will also give others face. Old Wei didn't expect that the one who attacked was a young man of 18 or 19 years old. He was stunned for a moment, but after all, he was a man who had experienced many ups and downs. He quickly reacted and bowed his hands and saluted. "Academics have nothing to do with age. The wise are the teachers. Sir, you can cure such stubborn diseases, so you deserve to be my teacher." Liu Shujing and Qin Wanli were shocked to hear that Old Wei insisted on calling Wu Jin sir. They visited him many times because of his superb medical skills and reputation. But now Old Wei called Wu Jin sir, like a primary school student. How could they not be surprised? People like Old Wei don't care about your identity and background. There is only one reason why he bowed and saluted. This person's attainments in medical skills make Old Wei admire him. Wei Ziki saw the leather bag hanging on Wu Jin's waist, and his eyes showed a look of surprise, as if he was trying to recall something. Suddenly he slapped his thigh. Is the Wu King box on your waist? Do you know Senior Wu Ya? Chapter 7 Disgraced. The chief priest of the Wu clan is called Wu Ya. I didn't expect Wei Ziki to know the chief priest. Wu Jin showed a serious expression and replied, Wu Ya is the name of the chief priest of our clan. Do you know the chief priest? Wei Ziki showed a look of reminiscence. When I was young, I followed my master to travel around the world. I met a patient. My master tried everything but was helpless. When he was about to give up, he met Senior Wu. Senior Wu took action and cured the disease in one go. At that time, Senior Wu was wearing this Wu King box around his waist. Speaking of this, Wei Ziki smiled. It's really a coincidence that I met the descendant of Senior Wu again, and it's still the same situation. Since Senior Wu passed the Wu King box to you, you must be Senior Wu's most proud disciple. I haven't seen you for decades. Is Senior Wu okay? Wu Jin looked gloomy. The chief priest has returned to heaven. Wei Ziki couldn't help but feel regretful when he heard this. Even a person as brilliant as Senior Wu can't resist the passage of time. My master wanted to be Senior Wu's teacher, but was rejected by Senior Wu. However, my master also studied with Senior Wu for several years. Although there is no master-disciple relationship, there is a master-disciple relationship. According to seniority, you should be my senior teacher. Wei Ziki looked at Qin Kellen and sighed again. I was surprised that such a stubborn disease could be cured. But since you have done it, there is nothing to be surprised about. You have such a rejuvenating hand, and your future is definitely limitless. Wu Jin knew that old stubborn people like Wei Ziki had a deep-rooted concept of the hierarchy of teachers and students, otherwise they would not treat themselves so politely. Wu Jin stopped bothering with these red tapes and turned to look at Xu Chaoan, who was hiding in the corner. He said coldly, What future do I have? Just now, this Dr. Xu came over with the test report and said that not only did I not get cured, but Miss Qin's condition worsened. Wei Ziki also looked at Xu Chaoan. Oh, is there such a thing? Xiaoshu, where is the test report? Let me see. Xu Chaoan was immediately in trouble. As long as Mr. Wei saw the test report, it meant that his lies were completely exposed. How could he dare to show it to Mr. Wei? Fang Feifei didn't care about that. She picked up the test report on the table and handed it to Mr. Wei. When Mr. Wei saw the test report, he shouted, This is impossible. If Miss Qin is in this situation, how can she be in such a good state? Miss Qin's pulse is stable, her pulse is beating strongly, she is full of energy, and her face is ruddy. How could this result be possible? There is something wrong with this checklist. Mr. Wei said firmly. Xu Chaoan was so scared that he sat down on the ground. Who among the people present is not a smart person? After hearing Mr. Wei's explanation and seeing Xu Chaoan's performance, how could he not understand at this time? Fang Feifei grabbed Xu Chaoan's collar, lifted him up and asked angrily, Did you tamper with Lanlan's check-up sheet? Wu Jin was found out. Fang Feifei, this violent girl, especially likes to grab people's collars. Xu Chaoan hesitated and dared not answer. Not answering means acquiescence. Fang Feifei was so angry that she gritted her teeth. Xu Chaoan, you can't cure Lanlan, and you repeatedly blocked Mr. Wu from taking action. What's more hateful is that others have cured it, but you actually falsely accused them of using stimulants. Are you going to claim that you cured Lanlan in a few days? If you don't make up the knife now, when will you? Wu Jin agreed with tears in his eyes. That's right, he used you as a gun to beat me, and he took advantage of it. Then he chased Lanlan. Damn, this guy didn't have to do anything to gain fame and fortune, and got a beautiful woman. It's so insidious, so insidious. If it weren't for old man Wei coming, wouldn't we be tricked to death by him? No, the tricks in the city are deep, I want to go back to the countryside. Despicable and shameless villain, I will beat you to death. Fang Feifei's temper was so violent that she immediately punched and kicked Xu Chaoan like raindrops, without mercy. Officer Fang, you can't use lynching at will, spare my life. I was wrong, please don't hit me anymore, don't hit me in the face, okay. Xu Chaoan squatted on the ground with his head in his hands and begged for mercy. Qin Kellen felt mixed emotions. She always knew that Xu Chaoan was pursuing her. From all aspects, Xu Chaoan was a good match, capable, educated, and good-looking. But she just felt that Xu Chaoan's handsome appearance hid a dark side that made people feel anxious. Now it seems that it is true. Liu Shujing and Qin Wanli were all close to Qin Kellen. Xu Chaoan had bad intentions towards Qin Kellen. They wished that Xu Chaoan would die. At this time, they said nothing and looked at him coldly. Wei Ziki, who had some friendship with Xu Chaoan, was also disgusted with his unethical behavior. Now that he knew his relationship with Wu Jin, he naturally became closer to Wu Jin. Those young nurses had already slipped away when they saw that the situation was not good. The dean wanted to help, but he also knew the importance of the people present, so he could only sigh and turn away. For a while, this overseas returnee doctor with many titles did not have a single helper. Wu Jin saw that the fight was almost over, so he went over to pull Fang Feifei. "Oh, you little girl, why are you so irritable? Just beat her for an hour or two. You are addicted." He also kicked Xu Chaoan twice. Fang Feifei couldn't match Wu Jin's 2 kicks. Xu Chaoan's face turned green immediately, and he bent his body like a shrimp thrown into a frying pan. Fang Feifei made a contemptuous gesture towards Wu Jin. Xu Chaoan was educated after all, and knew that a real man could bend and stretch. He immediately turned around and knelt down in front of Wu Jin with a plop. "I was wrong. I shouldn't have been jealous and stopped you from saving people. Please let me go. I will definitely respect you like I respect my master in the future." Wu Jin glanced at Xu Chaoan coldly and ignored him. Xu Chaoan saw that it was useless to beg Wu Jin, so he knelt down a few steps, crawled to Liu Shujing, and kowtowed several times. "Aunt Liu, I was wrong. Please forgive me for my due diligence in treating Lanlan's illness." Liu Shujing glanced at Xu Chaoan lying on the ground and snorted. "If it weren't for the fact that you had rescued Lanlan several times, do you think you would have a chance to beg for mercy here now? Go away, leave Longcheng, and don't show up in front of us again." Xu Chaoan was full of reluctance in his heart, but he didn't dare to show it. The Qin family had let him off with this ending. Otherwise, with the power of the Qin family, it was possible that he would disappear quietly. Xu Chaoan decided to pack up his things and leave Longcheng immediately when he returned. Who knows if Liu Shujing really let him go? If the Qin family regretted it, it would be the end. Liu Shujing did not intend to continue suppressing Xu Chaoan. After all, the disease that had plagued her daughter for more than 20 years had been cured. Now she only cared about her daughter, and Xu Chaoan, a small pawn, was no longer in her mind. Accompanied by Mr. Wei, Qin Kellen was examined again, and the results showed that all indicators were normal. Until then, the Qin family was truly relieved. Liu Shujing and Qin Wanli took Qin Kellen and bowed deeply to Wu Jin. With tears in her eyes, Liu Shujing said emotionally, "Thank you Mr. Wu for saving Lanlan. Wanli and I are grateful. You are too polite. Since Miss Qin and I have met, it is fate. There is absolutely no reason to watch someone die without saving him." Wu Jin waved his hand and said, "Besides, I have to charge for my medical treatment. Would it be convenient for you two to pay the medical expenses?" Speaking of this, Wu Jin showed a little money grubber look and rubbed 2 fingers. Qin Kellen immediately covered her mouth with her hands and laughed secretly. Liu Shujing and Qin Wanli usually met all kinds of old foxes. Now they found it very interesting to hear Wu Jin speak so bluntly. Although the Qin family was rich, they would not carry hundreds of thousands of cash with them, so Wu Jin had to follow them to the Qin family to get it. Qin Kellen had come to their hospital countless times since she was a child. Every time she recalled it, she was in great pain. Now that she was cured, she took Fang Feifei and fled the hospital like avoiding the plague. At the gate of the hospital, Mr. Wei respectfully handed over his business card with both hands and said, "It is my blessing to meet Mr. Wu in my lifetime. I wonder if Mr. Wu is convenient to leave a contact number so that I can visit him another day." Wu Jin was already used to Mr. Wei's politeness. He took Mr. Wei's business card and put it in his trouser pocket, and then said, "I don't have any business cards." "Then leave a phone number so that we can contact each other in the future." Mr. Wei's mind turned very quickly, and he waved his hand and said, "Quickly bring paper and pen." "Hey." Seeing that the elderly Mr. Wei was eager, Wu Jin wrote down a number with some helplessness. "Oh." The people around were stunned. How many people want to curry favor with a master of traditional Chinese medicine like Wei Lao, but this guy was reluctant to ask for his phone number. Wei Lao hurriedly took it, looked at it carefully, and put it into his inner pocket carefully after confirming that it was connected. After saying goodbye to Wei Lao, Qin Kellen invited Wu Jin to take Fang Feifei's car together, but Wu Jin ran to Qin Wanli's car like a mouse seeing a cat. Seeing Qin Kellen's puzzled face, Fang Feifei leaned close to Qin Kellen's ear and told her what happened in the morning. I thought he was fearless. Qin Kellen smiled coquettishly, attracting people around to peek at him frequently. The Qin family lives on the hillside in the south of the city. There are only a few villas on the whole mountain. It can be said that these few families occupy the mountain. The status of the Qin family in Longcheng city can be seen from this. Wu Jin was escorted into the gate, which made Fang Feifei unhappy. She rolled her eyes, causing Qin Kellen to cover her mouth and laugh. The decoration of the Qin family did not seem luxurious, but rather quite ancient and elegant. Wu Jin could not help but nod and praise it. Seeing Liu Shujing take out a large stack of banknotes from the inner room, Wu Jin's eyes lit up immediately and he took it with a smile. Par. After licking his saliva, Wu Jin began to count the little red fish. 100, 200, 300. Money grubber. Fang Feifei rolled her eyes, and Qin Kellen smiled. I have never seen such an interesting person. Liu Shujing and Qin Wanli smiled at each other. 100,000 is 1,000 bills, and it took a long time to count them. When Wu Jin counted to more than 700, Fang Feifei suddenly patted Wu Jin on the shoulder and asked like the conductor on the train, beer, beverage, mineral water, Master Wu, what do you want to drink? You, what are you doing? Wu Jin glared and said in annoyance, I worked so hard to count for a long time, but you scared me like this, and I forgot where to count, and I have to count again. Chapter 8 Future Father-in-Law and Mother-in-Law. Har har har. Fang Feifei and Qin Kellen couldn't hold back any longer, and fell on the sofa with their hands on their stomachs. Wu Jin didn't care about the two girls' ridicule. In his opinion, counting money was such a happy thing. When he was in the mountains before, his monthly pocket money was only 60 yuan. The pocket money saved for a year was not enough to take a bath in the city. Besides, this was earned by himself honestly, so what's wrong with counting it? Are these two silly girls so happy? They are really crazy. After counting the money, Wu Jin took out a plastic bag and wrapped it up, nodded to everyone, I cured the disease, got the money, and left. Wait. Liu Shujing pulled Wu Jin and said, Mr. Wu, if there is nothing urgent, why don't you have lunch here before leaving? Seeing that Wu Jin was a little hesitant, Qin Kellen also came up and said, Mr. Wu, you said you just came out of the mountains yesterday, why don't I take you to the internet? Sure enough, Wu Jin took the bait, and asked with a gleam in his eyes, internet. It means radio. The machine says that through a thing called a computer, you can know everything in the world. Seeing Qin Kellen nod, Wu Jin immediately grabbed Qin Kellen's hand, come on, I've wanted to see it for a long time. Seeing the three young men walk into Qin Kellen's boudoir on the second floor, Qin Wanli frowned, since Lanlan's illness has been cured, do you still have to work so hard to please this rustic boy? Can you guarantee that Lanlan's illness will never come back? Staring at her husband, Liu Shujing said seriously, besides, I think Wu Jin is pretty good. You may think he is a little rustic, but in my opinion, this is a kind of sincerity. If I like him, I like him. If I don't like him, I don't like him. He is 100 times cuter than a hypocritical hypocrite like Xu Chaoan. Qin Wanli was shocked and said, you don't want to match Lanlan with this kid, do you? Liu Shujing smiled faintly, why not? Qin Wanli stood up suddenly, why not? Look at this kid, not to mention his rusticity, he has no education, no background, no money, how can he be worthy of her? Go to our Lanlan. You are still worldly minded. Liu Shujing sighed, Lanlan's disease is beyond the reach of all experts in the world, but Wu Jin cured her in a few minutes. Isn't this more useful than any academic qualifications? In such a large country, how many people have such a background that a Chinese medicine master like Mr. Wei would highly respect and honor them as Mr. For those wealthy people with terminal illnesses, how much money can buy back their lives? With Wu Jin's superb medical skills, isn't it easy to make money? Oh! Qin Wanli was speechless. Pulling her husband's hand, Liu Shujing comforted him, we don't expect Lanlan to marry into a rich family. Our current family property is enough for Lanlan to be rich and prosperous for a lifetime. As long as Lanlan can be happy, why bother about family background and other vain things? When we are old in the future, how can we be free from illness and disaster? Isn't it better to have a son-in-law with such excellent medical skills? That's the truth. Qin Wanli, who woke up, said, that has to be Lanlan's willingness. If Lanlan doesn't like Wu Jin at all, it's useless for you to match them up. Liu Shujing nodded, of course, if they don't like it, I can't do anything. I can only say that we are not destined to be together. However, I believe in our daughter's charm and her vision. Wu Jin was concentrating on watching Qin Kellan operate the computer. How could he know that Liu Shujing and his wife downstairs had already chosen him as their son-in-law? Fang Feifei lay on Qin Kellan's bed, watching Wu Jin and Qin Kellan sitting head to head, one explaining carefully and the other listening attentively, leaving herself aside. She looked at Wu Jin with even more resentment, as if Wu Jin had snatched away her most beloved toy. Fang Feifei was just trying to find a way to alienate the two when the phone rang. She angrily pressed the answer button, and her face changed after hearing just 2 sentences. What? Someone in the south of the city is fighting with weapons. Suspect it's an underground force fighting for territory. Okay, I'm in the south of the city, I'll be there in 10 minutes. After saying that, she jumped up from the bed, put on her shoes and ran. When passing the lobby downstairs, she hurriedly greeted Qin Wanli and Liu Shujing, and without waiting for a reply, she rushed directly to the car and whizzed away. Qin Kellan got up and climbed to the window to take a look, muttering, Feifei, this girl, is already the deputy captain of the criminal police team, but she is still so impetuous. How can she get married in the future? Wu Jin was attracted by the computer and had no time to care about Fang Feifei. Seeing Qin Kellan get up, he picked up the mouse and imitated Qin Kellan to operate it awkwardly. Qin Kellan took a look and didn't care. She sat on the bed and lowered her head to play with her mobile phone. Suddenly, a sound that a woman would make under special circumstances came over. Qin Kellan looked up and saw that the computer was playing a sexy and enchanting woman twisting and turning in revealing clothes, and Wu Jin was busy clicking with the mouse. This was just a pop-up window that popped up automatically on the computer. Many small websites have it. Usually, you can just close it when you see it. But now with Wu Jin, the atmosphere suddenly became ambiguous. Qin Kellan blushed and walked to the computer, bent down to take the mouse, and closed the pop-up window. Wu Jin turned his head and was attracted by the beauty of Qin Kellan's chest. Qin Kellan bent over, and the clothes around her neck naturally fell down, exposing her majestic peaks to Wu Jin's eyes. The deep ravines, the tall peaks, the fair skin. I couldn't take my eyes off her. Wu Jin had seen through Qin Kellan more than once, but it was always during treatment. Human life was at stake, so even Wu Jin didn't dare to be distracted. Now, half hidden and half exposed, it was going to cost Wu Jin his life. Qin Kellan saw Wu Jin not speaking for a long time, and when she looked down, she realized that her beauty was exposed, and Wu Jin was staring at her shameful place while swallowing his saliva. Qin Kellan's face suddenly turned red as if it was dripping with blood, and she covered her chest with her hands and stood up. Wu Jin regretfully retracted his gaze, and said with a sly smile, I've touched it before, and you're still shy to look at it. A pillow flew over and hit Wu Jin's head. Speaking of this, I forgot to remind you. Wu Jin said seriously. Although Qin Kellan was ashamed and angry, she still put down the other pillow she had picked up and listened carefully. Wu Jin coughed and said seriously, last time I did CPR on you, I found that your underwear was too tight and it was deformed. Don't wear such tight underwear in the future. It's not good for your health, and it affects your fertility. Although you have fertilized well, women's is the same as men's. Who doesn't want it to be bigger? You bastard, I'm going to kill you. Qin Kellan couldn't bear it anymore and threw herself directly at Wu Jin with the pillow. Knowing that she couldn't beat Wu Jin, she bit him and scratched him. Mr. Wu, Lan, it's time to eat. Fang Feifei left in a hurry and didn't close the door. Liu Shujing walked to the door and saw Qin Kellan throwing herself at Wu Jin, biting Wu Jin's neck, and her hands were still touching Wu Jin. Liu Shujing turned around and walked away, muttering as she walked, I said the two of them were suitable, but isn't this progress too fast? Qin Kellan buried her head in the quilt, God, please let me die. Seeing Qin Kellan burying her head like an ostrich, Wu Jin patted her and said, Auntie is calling us to eat. As luck would have it, he patted Qin Kellan on the buttocks. When Wu Jin calmed down Qin Kellan, who was about to kill someone, the dishes were already on the table when they went downstairs together. Qin Kellan, like a young wife who had just spent her wedding night, followed Wu Jin with a red face and lowered her head. Qin Wanli frowned, but didn't say anything in the end. Liu Shujing arranged for a few people to eat, and she acted as if she hadn't seen what happened just now and didn't mention it at all. During the meal, Liu Shujing kept asking about Wu Jin's situation in a roundabout way, where he was from, how old he was, who else was in his family, etc. It was like a mother-in-law meeting her son-in-law. After learning that Wu Jin was an orphan who was picked up by the high priest when he was still in his cradle and didn't know who his biological parents were, Liu Shujing looked at Wu Jin with a look full of maternal love and tenderness, constantly picking food for Wu Jin. Even Qin Kellen, who had just recovered from a serious illness, didn't receive this treatment. Wu Jin had never felt such maternal care from Liu Shujing. No matter how powerful Wu Jin was, he was only a teenager after all, and silently accepted Liu Shujing's kindness. The meal ended in a warm atmosphere. This meal also brought Wu Jin and the Qin family closer together. Liu Shujing now called Wu Jin directly instead of Mr. Wu. Wu Jin, you just came to Longcheng City, what are your plans for the future? Wu Jin replied, no plans for the time being. Lan Lan took me online just now. I know I have a lot to learn, so I want to find a place to go to school. I heard that Longcheng number 1 middle school is not bad, but I don't know if they will accept me. Liu Shujing quickly replied, your uncle is the director of the city's education bureau. Let him arrange it for you. By the way, where did you go before? Second or third year of high school? Wu Jin said, third grade of elementary school. Qin Kellen, who was drinking water, sprayed it out. Liu Shujing and Qin Wanli also looked incredible. Wu Jin scratched his head and explained, when I was a child, the high priest trained me as a young witch master. I mainly studied witchcraft, witch medicine, etc. The nearest school is more than 20 miles away from us. The high priest said that half a day is wasted on the road, which is a waste of time, so he let me study at home. Liu Shujing frowned and said, your situation is more troublesome. Your foundation is too weak for high school, and it is not suitable for elementary school and junior high school. Qin Kellen said, then continue to study by yourself. With Wu Jin's cleverness, it will not be a problem for him to take the college entrance examination in the future. Wu Jin straightened his chest and said, that's right, the high priest said I am a rare genius in a century. You're panting when I told you you're fat. Qin Kellen was immediately shocked and turned her head and said, Dad, I'm recovered now and want to go back to number 1 middle school to continue teaching. Doesn't Wu Jin want to go to number 1 middle school too? I heard that Dr. Zhang from the number 1 Chinese medicine clinic has asked for maternity leave and will probably be unable to work for half a year. You can tell Principal Wang to let Wu Jin go to the number 1 Chinese medicine clinic. With Wu Jin's ability, it's no problem for him to be a school doctor. I can also provide some tutoring during normal times. School doctor. How much money can a school doctor make? Wu Jin has no love for this profession, but as long as he can get into number 1 middle school, he can accept this profession. Chapter 9 Domineering Demolition Team. Liu Shujing immediately agreed, but she was a little worried about Qin Kellen's health. After all, she had just recovered from a serious illness, so she asked, Wu Jin, Lanlan's health, is it okay to go to work? Wu Jin smiled confidently, Lanlan is now the same as a normal person, and the witch worm I left in her body will release energy that is beneficial to her health after devouring the blood-sucking worm. Her health will only get better and better. Liu Shujing was relieved and said with a smile, you and Lanlan will be colleagues in the future. You just came to Longcheng and have no one to rely on. Why don't you live in our house and let Lanlan take you to and from get off work, which is also convenient? Wu Jin waved his hand and said, that's not necessary. I have some other things to do in Longcheng City, and I will find a place to live by myself. Liu Shujing knew that Wu Jin didn't want to say more, so she didn't ask any more questions. Since she knew that Wu Jin still had to find a place to live, Liu Shujing didn't force him to stay and let Qin Kellen drive Wu Jin away. Qin Kellen sent Wu Jin to the Panshan Park, and she couldn't help but feel a little worried. He confirmed again, are you sure you don't need us to find you a house? You are so young, there are many bad guys in the city. Wu Jin was immediately unhappy when he heard Qin Kellen say he was young. How am I small? I am not small at all. I don't care if he is a good person or a bad person. If he dares to provoke me, I will make him a dead man. Qin Kellen knew Wu Jin was teasing her when he heard it, and couldn't help blushing and said, you can't spit out ivory from a dog's mouth. You are a stinky hooligan. Don't blame me for not reminding you when you are bullied. Looking at Qin Kellen's blushing face, Wu Jin said with a sly smile. Lan Lan, you are so why do you care about me so much? Do you like me? I know that I am handsome, elegant, and have a lot of skills. It is normal for you to like me. If you love someone, you should say it out loud. Maybe I will agree to be your boyfriend if I am soft-hearted. Qin Kellen blushed and stepped on the accelerator. Rogue, who wants to be your girlfriend? Wu Jin looked at the disappearing car's rear end, with a look of unsatisfied. What's shameful about liking someone as outstanding as me? You are still shy. The Qin family's affairs have come to a successful end here. Wu Jin sorted out his mood and began to look for a place to stay. Although the spiritual energy of this park is stable and the environment is good, you can't sleep on the roadside every day. If you are locked up as a homeless person one day, won't you be laughed to death by those guys in the tribe? Besides, there is a kind of medicinal herb that I brought that is only available in the Wuwang Valley and cannot be bought in the city. If I don't plant it quickly, the little babies will starve to death by then, which will be a big loss. Feeling the direction of the spiritual energy, Wu Jin walked around the village under Panlong Mountain and finally stopped at the door of a courtyard. This courtyard is surrounded by mountains and rivers. The remnants of Panlong Mountain become gentle here. There is a lake a few dozen meters in front of the house. It is the place with the most abundant and stable spiritual energy in the whole village. Wu Jin knocked on the door, and after a while, there was a sound of footsteps in the yard. The door creaked open a crack, revealing a pretty face of 17 or 18 years old, and asked with full vigilance, "What do you want?" Wu Jin took a closer look at this little beauty and couldn't help but sigh that places with abundant spiritual energy in heaven and earth have many benefits, and even the people living here look better than others. The girl who opened the door was 1.65 meters tall, with a simple ponytail of black hair, wearing simple short-sleeved jeans, and a pretty face without any trace of makeup, revealing a fresh air, which made people feel close to her. Her thighs were slender and straight, and the arm exposed outside the short-sleeved shirt was tender and smooth. The whole body exudes the fragrance of virginity. Seeing Wu Jin staring at her with lustful eyes and not answering, the little beauty's face became more alert and snorted coldly, "What are you looking at? I'll dig out your eyes if you look again. Oh, you're still a hot pepper." If other people stared at her like this and were scolded in person, they would have fled long ago. Fortunately, Wu Jin was thick-skinned. He touched his nose and said with a smile, "I have never seen such a beautiful woman." I was distracted for a moment. By the way, do you have a house for rent? As long as it is a woman, no matter who she is, she will be happy to hear others praise her beauty. This little beauty is no exception. She accepted Wu Jin's sugar-coated bullets calmly. Hearing that Wu Jin was just a tenant who came to rent a house, the little beauty's face the alertness faded a little. "We have an empty house, but whether I can rent it to you, I have to ask my mother." Turned back. Wu Jin followed him in. As soon as he stepped in, the door slammed shut, almost hitting Wu Jin's nose. This little beauty is really alert. Wu Jin smiled bitterly and shook his head. After a while, the door opened again, and a middle-aged beautiful woman wearing an apron came out with a spoon in her hand. The little beauty followed behind the middle-aged beautiful woman, revealing her pretty little head. "Young man, we do have an empty house at home." The middle-aged beautiful woman smiled bitterly and explained, "But our house is going to be demolished, and you can't live there for a few days. Besides, there are only 2 of us in our family, and it's not convenient for a big man like you to live there." "Oh, demolition." Wu Jin was stunned in place. After so long, he found this place with abundant spiritual energy and stability. If it was demolished, once a building was built, wouldn't it be destroyed? Alas, why is it so difficult to find a place to stay in a big city? Others didn't rent it. Wu Jin had no choice but to turn around and leave, thinking about finding a similar house nearby. Just as she walked down the steps, a black Mercedes-Benz and a van came rapidly from the entrance of the village. The middle-aged woman saw it and quickly pushed the beautiful girl into their house, closed the door, and stood outside the door with a cooking spoon in her hand. The black Mercedes-Benz drove very fast and stopped in front of Wu Jin with an emergency brake. The distance between the front of the car and Wu Jin was less than 20 centimeters. Wu Jin's eyes turned cold and he looked at the tattooed man driving the car. "Boy, get out of the way." The tattooed man pushed Wu Jin away. He ran to open the door and respectfully greeted a middle-aged man in a suit from the car. At this time, the van behind opened, and 4 gangsters with colorful hair came down from the car. Wu Jin frowned and temporarily gave up the idea of taking action. He was very curious about what these people wanted to do with the mother and daughter. The middle-aged man in a suit also ignored Wu Jin, waved at the tattooed man driving, and said impatiently, "Hammer, you can't even do this little thing well, and I have to come here in person to support you. I heard that a group of foreign girls came to the New Era nightclub again, and I am going to pamper 2 of them today. You should deal with it quickly and don't waste my time." The burly man named Hammer hurriedly said carefully, "Boss Liu, I understand. Today, the boss brought his brothers to help me. I will definitely do the job beautifully and will not delay your interest." Although Hammer was cautious in front of Boss Liu, he became arrogant when he walked in front of the middle-aged beautiful woman. "Shu Guilan, the 3 days are up, have you thought it through? Other people's houses were demolished, not only were they given resettlement houses, but they also paid compensation. Our house is so large, such a good location, you only give 50,000 yuan. Shu Guilan waved the spoon a few times, emboldened, and argued, "What can 50,000 yuan do? It's not enough to rent a house. When your house is built, 50,000 yuan may not even buy a toilet. You just bully us because we don't have a man in our family." Hammer snorted coldly, "Shu Guilan, your place is just a corner. When the time comes, you can only build a public toilet or something. I can give you 50,000 yuan to take care of you and your mother. Our patience is limited. Don't refuse a toast and drink a penalty. If you disturb Liu Lao Da's elegance, then let alone 50,000 yuan, even 500 yuan will be gone." Knowing that she must not give in at this time, once she gives in, she will be swallowed up by this group of people without a bone or dregs left. Shu Guilan clenched the spoon in her hand and was about to speak, but Hammer waved his hand impatiently and hit the spoon away. Shu Guilan was so scared that she stepped back several steps and sat on the ground. The gangsters with colorful hair immediately burst into laughter. The closed door was pulled open by someone, and the little beauty rushed out from inside, stretched out her arms, and protected Shu Guilan. Her big eyes were spitting flames, staring at Hammer and his group. Seeing the little beauty appear, the gangsters around them whistled immediately, and even Hammer laughed, "Little sister, children should not care about adult matters. Why don't you stay at home and run out?" Shu Guilan quickly pulled the little beauty's arm and pushed her into the door. Li, what are you doing out here? Go back quickly." But the little beauty stubbornly broke free and still blocked her mother. "This home belongs to the 2 of us, I can't watch them bully you." Hammer clapped his hands and joked, "It's true that mother and daughter love each other deeply. It's just right, little girl, you should persuade your mother. Your house has been registered with the Municipal Urban Construction Bureau for a long time. It seriously affects the city appearance and has been said to be demolished. If it weren't for our boss's kindness, where would you get 50,000 yuan? When the time comes to demolish the house, it will be us brothers who suffer. It's good enough that we didn't ask you for labor fees. Now you are greedy. Be careful that you will suffer the consequences." Hammer became more and more excited as he spoke. Just as he was about to continue, he was slapped on the head. Hammer was immediately angry. He turned around and saw that it was Boss Liu who attacked him. He immediately put on a flattering smile. "Boss Liu, what do you want?" Boss Liu put on a smile and said, "Why are you so fierce? Can you pay more attention to your manners? Look how scared the little girl is." After that, he stretched out his right hand towards the little beauty, with a lustful look in his eyes. "Little beauty, my name is Liu Guanghan, let's get to know each other." Looking at the smiling Boss Liu, Shu Guilan became even more scared and took the little beauty back a few steps. Chapter 10 Get out of the way. Shu Guilan took the little beauty back a few steps, and the hand that Boss Liu extended was ignored. Boss Liu had seen countless women, and he didn't know how many women he had played with in his life. He was attracted by the purity of the little beauty at first sight. He wanted to leave a good impression, but he was slapped in the face. He couldn't help but feel angry, and the little patience he had just raised was gone in an instant. Putting away his right hand, Boss Liu's face turned cold, pointing at the little beauty and said, "It seems that you are really stubborn. I tell you, I will demolish this house today, and then I will make you crawl onto my bed obediently." After that, regardless of the pale mother and daughter, he said to the Hammer, "Pull them apart, other brothers prepare their tools, and demolish the wall first." This group of people obviously came prepared. After hearing what Boss Liu said, they took out various tools from the van and were about to demolish the wall. Hammer and another yellow-haired gangster reached out to pull Shu Guilan and the beautiful girl. Wu Jin flashed and stood in front of the mother and daughter, and uttered 4 words coldly, "Apologize to me." Hammer and others didn't realize how Wu Jin came over. He just blinked his eyes and Wu Jin appeared out of thin air. Although it felt a little strange, Hammer saw Wu Jin's thin body and then looked at the 4 strong men holding iron rods and shovels behind him, and his doubts were swept away. Boss Liu was still watching from behind. How could Hammer retreat at this time? He said to Wu Jin viciously, "Boy, what nonsense are you talking about? Apologize, what's the point of a fucking apology? If you know what's good for you, don't meddle in other people's business and get out of the way." After that, he reached out to pull Wu Jin without knowing whether to live or die. Wu Jin had no mercy on such a bully. He grinned, grabbed Hammer's palm, and twisted it hard, so that the good hand was bent at an incorrect angle. Suddenly, Hammer held his disabled right hand and squatted on the ground and howled. Those little hooligans usually bullied ordinary people at most. When had they ever encountered such a ruthless character who could easily disable people's hands and feet? They were so scared that they dared not say a word and looked at Boss Liu. Boss Liu also found that Wu Jin was not easy to mess with. Now he was in a dilemma. He brought people to support Hammer, but was scared away by a teenager. If this got out, he would not be able to get involved in the future. He bowed to Wu Jin and said, "I hope my friends will not interfere in today's matter for the sake of my brother-in-law, Iron Tower King Kong. My Sihai Construction Company will not pursue you for hurting my brother later." In Boss Liu's opinion, this kid is good at fighting and ruthless. It is very likely that he is a gangster. Anyone who has been in the underworld would have heard of the Iron Tower King Kong and the Four Seas Company. He brought few people today, and they were not professional fighters. He was unsure if a fight broke out, so he brought up the Four Seas Company and the Iron Tower King Kong, hoping that Wu Jin would retreat. As long as today passed, he would have plenty of ways to deal with a fool like Wu Jin. How could he know that Wu Jin had only been out of the mountains for 2 days and had never heard of the Iron Tower King Kong Four Seas Company? Even if he had heard of it, Wu Jin would not take it seriously. Therefore, Wu Jin said very unceremoniously, "What Iron Tower King Kong, Copper Tower King Kong, apologize quickly and get out." Knowing that this matter could not be resolved peacefully today, Boss Liu waved his hand to the gang of hooligans behind him. "Go, he is alone and empty-handed, everyone come together, as long as you beat this kid down, I will give each brother an extra 2,000 yuan. There must be a brave man under a heavy reward." These hooligans usually go out to support the scene, and they only get 200 yuan after standing all day. When they heard that so many people beat one person and each of them got 2,000 yuan, they immediately rushed up with red eyes. The little beauty covered her eyes in fear and dared not look anymore. Shu Guilan also looked desperate. Wu Jin shook his head and said in new internet slang he had just learned, "If you don't commit suicide, you won't die." He took a step forward, grabbed the door of the Mercedes-Benz, and pulled it off the car with force. At this time, the hooligans rushed over. Wu Jin raised the car door and rushed into the middle of the gangsters, waving it left and right like sweeping the floor. The gangsters immediately fell to the ground and wailed. Wu Jin threw the car door in front of Liu Lao Da, "Can you apologize now?" After seeing Wu Jin's violence, how could Liu Lao Da dare to say no? He quickly bowed and apologized to the beautiful mother and daughter. "I was wrong, please forgive me, ladies." After saying that, Wu Jin slapped him in the face without waiting for a reply. Liu Lao Da was slapped so hard that he saw stars and his left face swelled up immediately. It took him a long time to recover and he looked at Wu Jin with a wronged face. "Didn't you ask me to apologize?" "I have already apologized, why are you hitting me?" Seeing Boss Liu's confused face, Wu Jin slapped him again and sighed, "Look at you, you can't fight, you're not brave, you're not loyal, you're so cowardly, you don't have any sense, I really don't know how you became the boss. You almost bumped into me just now, and your little brother was bullying me, don't you have to apologize to me?" Boss Liu wanted to cry but had no tears, he just wanted to leave here quickly, bowed to Wu Jin, "Brother, I was wrong, please forgive me." Wu Jin said with satisfaction, "Go away, remember, my name is Wu Jin, if you want revenge, don't find the wrong person." Boss Liu kept saying he didn't dare, kicked the Hammer, and ran away with a bunch of hooligans. In the car, Hammer asked, "Boss, are you just going to let this kid go?" Boss Liu was so angry that he slapped Hammer on the head and cursed, "You are an idiot. This kid is obviously a tough guy. Avoid him first, understand? My brother-in-law is out on business and not in Longcheng. He will not be back for a few days. When my brother-in-law comes back, I will definitely ask him to bring more people. By then, I will make this kid wish he could neither live nor die. Even if Hammer was really a tough guy, he knew that Boss Liu was holding back his anger at the moment, so how could he dare to offend him again? He concentrated on driving the Mercedes-Benz with a missing door with his one arm, and dared not say a word. After driving away Boss Liu and others, Wu Jin clapped his hands, turned his head and looked at the mother and daughter, and asked, "The demolition workers have been driven away. Can I rent your house now?" Little Beauty and Shu Guilan are still in shock. They were worried about Wu Jin just now. Wu Jin looked frail, but who would have thought he was so violent? There were several big men holding sticks and shovels, but he knocked them all down in just a few strokes. The boss Liu, who looked quite powerful, was slapped by Wu Jin several times, and his face was swollen like a pig's head. In the end, he had to apologize before he dared to leave. How could someone be so arrogant? Hearing Wu Jin's question, the little beauty showed an obvious expression of interest, but Shu Guilan hesitated for a moment and still rejected Wu Jin. "Young man, I can see that you are a good person, but you don't know who these people are. They are the legendary gangsters. You let them suffer such a big loss today, they will definitely not give up. You should leave quickly." At this time, everyone who understood knew that Wu Jin had gotten into trouble, but Shu Guilan actually persuaded Wu Jin to leave. It can be seen that they are a pair of hot-tempered little peppers on the surface, which is just a kind of self-protection, but they are actually very kind in their hearts. Wu Jin has a better impression of this stubborn and kind mother and daughter, and is more determined to live here. You beat the man yourself, and then you just walk away after beating him, leaving two women to take the blame. This is not the style a man should have, let alone Wu Jin's style. Wu Jin took out his cell phone and called Shengong Tu. "Hello, do you know a construction company called Sai Hai?" Shengong Tu quickly replied, "I know, what's wrong, Master Wu, did they provoke you?" "Master Wu, where are you? I'll come right over." Wu Jin said, "You don't have to come, I've already beaten them away. By the way, their leader is a man called Liu Guanghan, Boss Liu, do you know him?" Shengong Tu was stunned for a moment, obviously thinking, and replied after a while, "Master Wu, you are talking about that kid, what Boss Liu, that he is just a small leader with a pair of demolition teams. That guy is a hopeless piece of mud. His sister is the lover of the general of Metria, Iron Tower King Kong. Sihai Company is Metria's industry, which is managed by Iron Tower King Kong. That guy is just using the name of Iron Tower King Kong to eat soft rice in Sihai. Although I am not familiar with Metria's people, I warned this Liu Guanghan, and I don't think he will dare to jump again. I think Iron Tower King Kong will not fight me to death for this guy." Shengongtu said it toughly, but Wu Jin still heard from his words that he was afraid of this Iron Tower King Kong. Wu Jin asked calmly, "This Iron Tower King Kong has a very arrogant name, what's his origin?" Shengongtu naturally did not dare to hide anything, and said everything in detail. "There are 3 big bosses in Longcheng, Qinglong, Metria, and Black Widow. Let's not talk about Qinglong, he has 4 Dharma protectors and 13 guardians under him, and he occupies half of the country alone. Black Widow is a woman, the daughter of the former big boss Bai Song. After Bai Song was assassinated, some old people wanted to seize the throne. Black Widow quickly integrated the remaining forces under Bai Song with thundering means, and now it is barely maintained and is the weakest one. And Metria is the one in the middle, a smiling tiger, with 3 Arhats and 8 Varger under him. Iron Tower King Kong is one of his capable generals. First, his influence in the martial arts world is still higher than mine, but recently Metria wants to take down Black Widow while she is weak, so I guess Iron Tower King Kong will not stand up for his cheap brother-in-law for such a small matter. If he comes to you, tell me and I will talk to him." Wu Jin sneered, "Isn't he King Kong? Just don't provoke me. If he dares to come, I don't mind sending him to the Western Paradise." Shengongtu broke out in a cold sweat, "Young Master Wu, Iron Tower King Kong is a wild bull. Once provoked, he can do anything. You calm down first, I will talk to him. Don't worry about it, I will solve it myself." Wu Jin hung up the phone directly. Chapter 11 Days of Cohabitation with the School Beauty. After hanging up the phone with Shengongtu, Wu Jin didn't care about Liu Lao Da in his heart. He was just a small gang leader who didn't want to see the light, and he was still a useless person. Even if they were the so-called 3 big bosses in Longcheng, Wu Jin was only afraid of the firearms in their hands. If he was really forced, Wu Jin had plenty of ways to make them disappear silently. With a plan in mind, he was naturally not panicked. I know you are afraid that I will stay here and be retaliated by them, but if I leave, they can't find me and will definitely not let you go. Shaking the phone in his hand at the mother and daughter, Wu Jin said, although I, Wu Jin, am not a gentleman, I will never do such a thing as causing trouble and letting two women take the blame. This feeling of being protected is really good. Since the little beauty could remember, it was only the mother and daughter who had a hard time making a living. Many times, Xu Guilan went to work, leaving her alone at home, curled up in the quilt and shivering alone. When she was helpless today, Wu Jin appeared and fought off the bad guys. The little beauty immediately felt protected. Xu Guilan was middle-aged after all, and had experienced more things and thought more than the little beauty. Wu Jin was very skilled. He investigated Liu Lao Da clearly with just one phone call. He was obviously not an ordinary person. She and her daughter had suffered too many grievances and bullying over the years. It would be nice if there was a man to take care of them. Even if he came for her daughter, what was wrong? Her daughter was beautiful and someone had been thinking about her for a long time. Let's not talk about anything else. Just say what happened just now. If Wu Jin hadn't taken action, her daughter might have been bullied today. Since someone was thinking about her, it would be better to put this person by her side and watch him by herself. It was better than knowing nothing. Wu Jin was too young after all. He didn't know that in just a short while, Xu Guilan's mind had turned so many circles. She was still standing there waiting for someone to answer. After making up her mind, Xu Guilan slowly said, "You have seen the situation of our house. If you really want to live here, don't blame us if something happens in the future." Wu Jin said, "That's natural." Okay then. Xu Guilan took Wu Jin into the yard and said, "We still have an empty house. I will clean it up for you later. The rent is 500 yuan per month. Is that okay?" Wu Jin didn't care about this little money and agreed readily. The little beauty's house covers a large area. No wonder Xu Guilan is so desperate to protect it. According to the policy, the demolition fee for such a large house is not much, not to mention 50,000 yuan, even 500,000 yuan. There was a rope in the yard with the clothes of the mother and daughter hanging on it. Before Wu Jin came over, the little beauty had taken away the underwear and other close-fitting clothes, leaving only some outer clothes. Wu Jin saw the school uniform hanging on the rope with the Longcheng No. 1 Middle School logo printed on it, so he asked, "Little beauty, do you go to Longcheng No. 1 Middle School?" The little beauty blushed and smiled, "I have a name, don't always call me little beauty, my name is Xu Lily, you can also call me Lily. I study in class 2, grade 3 of Longcheng No. 1 Middle School, are you also a student of No. 1 Middle School?" "I'm not a student of No. 1 Middle School, but I'm going to work at No. 1 Middle School when your school starts in a few days." Xu Lily asked curiously, "You look about the same age as me, and you're already working? What kind of job do you do at No. 1 Middle School? You're not going to be a teacher, are you? Are you just the kind of super academic tyrants in novels who have already completed their doctoral studies at a young age?" Wu Jin was very impressed by Xu Lily's imagination and had nothing to hide, so he said to Xu Lily, "I am not a super academic tyrant. To be honest, I didn't even finish elementary school, but I know a little bit of medical skills, so someone recommended me to work in your school's infirmary, studying and working at the same time. Are there still young people who have never been to school? Knowing medical skills and being so good at fighting, he is really a strange person." Xu Lily was really shy, so she said, "Oh," and stopped talking, concentrating on helping Xu Guilan clean up the house. "Am I being too sentimental? Isn't this guy coming for Lily?" Xu Guilan, who had been eavesdropping on the side, also felt strange. Wu Jin saw that Xu Lily ignored him, knowing that the girl was shy, and looked at the yard by himself. The gate of the yard faces east, the three main rooms face north and south, the kitchen is on the east, and there are two side rooms on the west, one for storing sundries and the other for guest rooms. The room rented to Wu Jin is the one used as guest room. In addition, there is a large open space in the yard, where some cucumbers, tomatoes and other things are planted. Now it is over, and only some dead seedlings are left lying alone on the ground. It's really a pillow for a sleepy man. Wu Jin was just worrying about where he could grow herbs, and found such a large open space at Xu Lily's house. The reason why Wu Jin insisted on living in Xu Lily's house was because the spiritual energy here was abundant and stable, suitable for living and growing herbs. Wu Jin quickly pulled Shu Guilan, who was busy cleaning, and pointed to the open space and asked, "Auntie, how about renting this piece of land to me? That's a vegetable field." "What do you rent it for, a young man?" "Plant flowers." Shu Guilan asked in surprise. Shu Lily also looked at Wu Jin curiously. Wu Jin said, "It's not planting flowers, but it's almost the same. I'll plant herbs. I'll pay 1,000 yuan a month for this land. How about it?" Shu Guilan was tempted when she heard the rent of 1,000 yuan a month. "I'm a lazy person. If I cook for myself, I'll probably starve to death. Auntie cooks and asks me to eat together every day. I'll pay another 3,000 yuan for food every month." Wu Jin took the opportunity to drop another big bomb. "In this case, I should give you 4,500 every month." "Forget it, I'll round it up to 5,000. "Okay, I'll prepay for half a year first." Without waiting for Shu Guilan to agree, he took out 3 stacks of brand new banknotes from his bag and stuffed them into Shu Guilan's hand, and went into their house. Shu Guilan stood there for a long time with 30,000 yuan in her hand, until Shu Lily came to call her, and then she came to her senses. In the past few months, Hama and others have come countless times, trying to drive the mother and daughter away. Now Wu Jin is here, not only driving Hama away, but also giving her 30,000 yuan on the first day of his arrival, without blinking an eye. Money is not important to Wu Jin. He needs money, but he needs a lot of money. Whether it is the 1,000-year-old ginseng or other spiritual objects, money is needed to find clues and buy them. You can't just kill someone and rob them just because you know they have it. Giving the mother and daughter 30,000 yuan is just a small amount of money. I estimate that they will live here for a long time. It will be easier to do things in the future if I spend a little money to bribe them. Wu Jin walked into their house. The wing room that had not been lived in for a long time was cleaned up at this time, and even the sheets and quilts were made. Shu Lily walked in and said to Wu Jin, "I saw that you didn't bring anything, so I brought you a bed and quilt. Although it is old, I washed it clean. You can make do with it. Thank you for prepaying you so much money in advance. My mother said that it is not necessary to pay so much, so I asked me to return you 20,000 yuan. Put the 20,000 yuan in his hand on Wu Jin's bed. Just take it if you give it to me. I'll spend it if I put it in my hands." Wu Jin took it and stuffed it into Shu Lily's hands again, pretending to be angry. "I'll pay you in advance. Maybe one day I'll spend all the money. At least I'll have a place to eat and sleep, right?" After saying that, without waiting for Shu Lily to speak, Wu Jin stretched his face next to Shu Lily, sniffed it hard, and sniffed the quilt on the bed, and said with a smirk, "Is this your quilt? It smells exactly the same as you, so fragrant. You will definitely have a good dream if you sleep with this quilt." Shu Lily blushed with shame, stamped her feet, and forgot about the money. She cursed a stinky hooligan and turned and ran away. "Such a shy little girl, it's a piece of cake to deal with you." In the next few days, Shu Guilan had to go to work, and only Shu Lily and Wu Jin were at home. Wu Jin began to take care of his vegetable garden, and Shu Lily would sometimes come to help. When he was free, Wu Jin would practice or surf the internet with the mobile phone Qin Kellen gave him. Occasionally, he would tease the beautiful girl and laugh at her blushing and stamping her feet. Their mother and daughter did not mention money again, but Wu Jin could see that the meals these days, whether Shu Guilan or Shu Lily, were very attentive. Children from poor families grow up early. Wu Jin did not expect that a beautiful girl like Shu Lily could cook and cook very well. After lunch, Wu Jin sat on the sofa and read the newspaper, occasionally sneaking a peek at Shu Lily's long legs bending over to mop the floor. In this scene, those who didn't know would think they were a young couple. After a few days of getting along, Shu Lily was not as shy as she was at the beginning. As if she felt that Wu Jin was looking at her, Shu Lily asked without turning her head, "Does it look good?" Wu Jin did not react for a while and answered casually, "It looks good." Shu Lily spat secretly and turned away in shame and anger. The floor that had just been mopped was extremely slippery. Shu Lily slipped and fell forward without noticing. Wu Jin quickly reached out and grabbed her. Shu Lily fell on Wu Jin, and her peaks just pressed against Wu Jin's face. The weather was hot, and Shu Lily only wore underwear and short-sleeved shirts. The underwear was thin and breathable. As a cultivator, Wu Jin's senses were far superior to ordinary people, and he could vaguely feel the tempting peaks on the peaks. Shu Lily was a little dazed by the fall, and when she looked down, she saw Wu Jin's head buried in her shameful place. A scream that pierced the sky suddenly rang out. Xu Lili quickly got up, but who knew that when she curled up her legs, her knees just hit Wu Jin's key parts. Wu Jin was caught off guard and was hit hard. His face turned green in an instant, and he immediately became a disciple of the crotch-covering sect. The little beauty saw Wu Jin covering his crotch with a face full of pain, hunched over and rolling on the sofa, and she didn't care about being embarrassed and angry, and asked with concern, "Are you okay?" "I'm sorry, I didn't mean it." As she spoke, tears were about to fall. Wu Jin was devastated, and there were more than 10,000 alpacas roaring through his heart. What the hell is this? As a victim, I have to endure the severe pain to comfort the person who hurt me. Chapter 12 Massage Therapy. On the first day of school, Wu Jin and Xu Lili came to number 1 middle school together. On their way, Qin Kellen called to say that there was a traffic jam and asked Wu Jin to wait. Xu Lili left first because she was going to register. It didn't take long before Qin Kellen arrived and took Wu Jin to the infirmary. Wu Jin only went to the 3rd grade of elementary school. It was his first time to come to such a high school campus in the city that was full of youthful atmosphere. It was like Liu Lao Lao entering the Grand View Garden. "Wow, long legs, black socks, so sexy, I like it. Is this a student?" Qin Kellen replied helplessly, "Usually the school requires students to wear school uniforms. The first day of school is the only day when students can wear casual clothes. Don't make a fuss. That's such a pity. Wow, is this the miniskirt that the internet talks about? Are those two walking hand in hand a couple? Isn't it said that high school students are not allowed to fall in love? Oh, look, they are hugging each other. Oh, they are kissing. Lan, I like this place." Qin Kellen was speechless, holding Wu Jin's arm and dragging him towards the infirmary. "Oh, Lan, look. Qin Kellen is one of the 3 goddess teachers. Some students in number 1 middle school may not know the principal, but no one does not know Qin Kellen." Qin Kellen walked side by side on the campus holding the arm of a young man, which instantly caused an uproar in the entire number 1 middle school. The latest news is that the goddess teacher Qin Kellen is walking side by side with a mysterious man, with an intimate attitude, suspected to be a lover, and the picture is the truth. Is it true or not? Isn't teacher Qin seriously ill and won't come to substitute this semester? Bao Bao also expressed doubts. When the holiday last semester came, teacher Qin said goodbye to the whole class in person, and Bao Bao was very sad at that time. "The photos have been posted, how can it be fake?" Someone immediately refuted below. Before the two of them walked to the infirmary, the photo of them walking hand in hand had been uploaded to the number 1 middle school forum. Everyone was guessing who this mysterious person was. In the number 1 middle school clinic, a young woman was sorting things with a big belly. It must be the Dr. Zhang that Qin Kellen mentioned. Students of number 1 middle school don't live on campus, and they won't come to the infirmary for serious illnesses. The work of the infirmary is very simple. The most common things they deal with are bumps, emergency abdominal pain, colds and fevers. After Qin Kellen introduced the two to each other, Dr. Zhang took Wu Jin to familiarize himself with the infirmary and explained some precautions. The infirmary is very simple, with a consulting room, a pharmacy, a doctor's lounge, and a bathroom, that's all. After Dr. Zhang finished his instructions, he said hello to Qin Kellen and left with his things. "Wu Jin, this is a school, you can't just feed the students with insects, it will scare them." Qin Kellen reminded, "You can also read some Western medicine books and learn some simple treatments for minor illnesses." They wishful thinking. Wu Jin rolled his eyes, "My witch insects are carefully fed with rare medicinal materials, and I would not be willing to give them to ordinary people. It is only for a beauty like you that I am not stingy. You only know how to talk nonsense all day long, I will ignore you." Qin Kellen pretended to be angry and left happily. After sitting for a long time, no one came to the infirmary, and Wu Jin was not idle. He followed Qin Kellen's advice and read the medical books left by Dr. Zhang for a day. Although he had never studied Western medicine, he was familiar with all methods, all of which were to drive away diseases. Western medicine paid more attention to data and relied on machinery, while Chinese medicine paid more attention to experience, so old Chinese medicine practitioners were more popular. Wu Jin understood Western medicine treatment from the essence and quickly mastered the treatment methods of some minor diseases. After going to the cafeteria for lunch, Wu Jin took off his pants and prepared to take a nap, and the door of the infirmary was knocked open. A petite and cute Meng girl walked in with a tall and cold beauty. "Doctor, help!" The Meng girl saw that there was no one in the consulting room, so she helped the tall beauty to sit on the sofa and rushed directly into the doctor's lounge. Wu Jin's pants were not pulled up yet. "R. Hooligan!" The Meng girl and Wu Jin shouted at the same time. "You don't know how to knock on the door, female hooligan." Wu Jin pointed at the Meng girl, who covered her eyes with both hands and taught her a lesson. "Oh, I'm in a hurry." The tall beauty was still sitting outside, and the Meng girl directly pulled Wu Jin's arm out. "My pants." Half of the shirt was inside the waistband, and half was outside, with the front of the pants still open. Wu Jin was pulled outside by the cute girl. The cute girl pointed at the tall beauty with a painful face and said, "Doctor, please save Fei Yan. She has dysmenorrhea and is rolling around in pain. She is going to die." Jiu Fei Yan endured the pain and blushed. "By rolling, if you say anything nonsense again, I will tear your mouth. I just have a stomachache, doctor, just give me some strong painkillers." Wu Jin looked at the two beauties curiously. The cute girl is by rolling, about 1.6 meters tall, with a pair of big eyes blinking on her round face with some baby fat. Just like her name, she exudes a spirit. The tall beauty is Jiu Fei Yan, 1.75 meters tall. Half of her head is tied into a bun behind her head, and the other half is draped over her shoulders, with a few bangs hanging in front. If she changes into a set of ancient costumes, she will be a female knight. The female warrior was curled up on the sofa, holding her stomach. Although they were wearing school uniforms, they were both beautiful. One was lively and cute, and the other was tall and cold, forming a strong contrast. Wu Jin couldn't help but be a little stunned. Bai Rolling shouted, "Doctor, don't look at me first, hurry up and save people, okay? You can look at me as you want after the doctor. Look at me as you want. This little girl is really tough." Knowing that this is not the time to tease girls, Wu Jin restrained his mind, ignored Bai Rolling, and looked at Jiu Fei Yan. Jiu Fei Yan clenched her teeth, her whole body couldn't help but tremble slightly, and a thin layer of fragrant sweat had seeped out of her straight nose. This is not a symptom of dysmenorrhea. Wu Jin frowned and thought. "Doctor, can you do it?" Bai Rolling wrinkled her nose. "I have a stomachache during my period. If it's not dysmenorrhea, what else can it be?" Ignoring Bai Rolling, Wu Jin's eyes flashed with gold and looked at Jiu Fei Yan's stomach. As soon as the witch eye appeared, the situation inside Jiu Fei Yan's body was clear at a glance. I saw a stream of true energy rushing left and right in Jiu Fei Yan's body, tearing her internal organs. How could it not hurt? The fact that she didn't faint from the pain showed that Jiu Fei Yan had a strong will. "This girl is so beautiful, I didn't expect she is actually a cultivator, no wonder she is so tall." Wu Jin muttered secretly, "But this true energy obviously does not belong to her, it should be the residue in her body after being hit by a master." Seeing that Wu Jin had not spoken, Jiu Fei Yan could not bear the pain anymore, and said in a trembling voice, "Doctor, you don't need to look at me, I know my problem, please give me some painkillers." Wu Jin shook his head, "Painkillers can't cure your disease. If I'm not mistaken, you should have had this stomachache for a year or two, but it has become more and more frequent recently, right?" "How do you know?" As if she had forgotten the pain, Jiu Fei Yan stared at Wu Jin with her big watery eyes, full of expectation. "Doctor, can you cure it?" "It can be cured, but..." At this point, Wu Jin paused and looked embarrassed. "Why are you so hesitant when talking, but what but?" Bai Rolling couldn't help it first. "However, my treatment method is massage, and each treatment costs 20,000 yuan. Wu Jin reported his conditions. "What? Massage, and 20,000 yuan each time?" Bai Rolling jumped up and pointed at Wu Jin's nose and said, "Are you a doctor or a beast in human clothing? You are sexually harassing me, I will complain to the school leaders about you." Even Jiu Fei Yan frowned slightly. Wu Jin stretched out his hand, grabbed Jiu Fei Yan's wrist, and made a pulse-taking gesture, but in fact he secretly transmitted a stream of qi. Jiu Fei Yan's eyes suddenly widened, revealing an expression of disbelief. As a cultivator, she understood very well what it meant to be able to silently release the true qi into the body of another person. All those who can do this are masters. The yuan qi transmitted by Wu Jin is vast and profound, and is no less than that of the terrifying demon king who hurt him. Wu Jin pulled out his hand and smiled without saying a word. Jiu Fei Yan is also a cultivator, with a family background in cultivation. She has guessed Wu Jin's method, suppressed her shyness, nodded and said, "I am willing to treat it." "What? You actually let this big pervert give you a massage?" "Fei Yan, you are not crazy, didn't you see that his eyes were green? Let's not treat it in this broken infirmary, let's go to a big hospital." Bai Ruoling jumped out and spoke up for her bestie. Jiu Fei Yan gritted her teeth and said firmly, "No, I believe this gentleman, please help me. I thought that there was no hope of revenge in this life and I would die in pain, but Wu Jin's appearance gave Jiu Fei Yan hope. What does money and physical contact count for before the great revenge is avenged? If Wu Jin can help her get revenge, she is willing to marry Wu Jin." The person concerned spoke, and Bai Ruoling had to stare at Wu Jin, with warnings in his eyes. Wu Jin shrugged and raised his eyebrows at Bai Ruoling. The health of her best friend was important. Bai Ruoling also wanted to see why Jiu Fei Yan believed Wu Jin so much, so she helped Jiu Fei Yan into the doctor's lounge. Wu Jin gestured to Jiu Fei Yan to take off her shirt. Jiu Fei Yan blushed and took off her school uniform directly, leaving only a blue lace bra on her upper body. Her flat and attractive belly was exposed, and her delicate skin was like condensed fat, as white as snow. Bai Ruoling still didn't understand why the ice and snow beauty who usually kept strangers away believed Wu Jin's evil. However, since the parties did not object, she couldn't say anything. She just had to watch Wu Jin and didn't let her best friend suffer. "Ahem, you don't have to take off your underwear." Seeing Jiu Fei Yan reaching out to unbutton her underwear, Wu Jin quickly reached out to stop her. Wu Jin wanted to see, why did he have to take off his clothes? Once the witch eye came out, who would know? Letting Jiu Fei Yan take off her shirt was really necessary for treatment. However, Wu Jin had practiced the witch eye for a long time, and he had no intention of peeping. He stretched out his right hand and placed it on Jiu Fei Yan's abdomen. It was smooth and made Wu Jin's heart flutter. Jiu Fei Yan trembled violently and her body tensed. Chapter 13 Interception on the Road. As Wu Jin caressed her, Jiu Fei Yan slowly felt a vast and magnificent vitality entering her abdomen. The true qi that was raging in her abdomen was wrapped up and gradually dissipated. Jiu Fei Yan's tense body also slowly relaxed. There are 4 mainstream ways of cultivation in China: witchcraft, martial arts, Taoist alchemy, and Tantra. Witchcraft is the most ancient and mysterious. The way of cultivation is to communicate with heaven and earth. It is the most difficult to cultivate and gradually declined. The purpose of martial arts is to exercise the body. It is the easiest and can be learned by ordinary people. Therefore, there are many learners, but it is also extremely difficult to achieve something. Taoism cultivates true qi, refining the vital energy of heaven and earth into its own true qi. There were many practitioners in ancient times. In modern times, it is unknown whether the seclusion has declined like witchcraft, and the practice of Taoist alchemy is becoming less and less common. And Tantra cultivates mental power, which is the most mysterious. The witchcraft practiced by Wu Jin can be said to be the source of all methods. Although the master who injured Jiu Fei Yan had strong internal energy, the method he practiced was essentially weaker than witchcraft. As Wu Jin massaged, Jiu Fei Yan clearly felt the pain disappear quickly. It was like a person trapped in an iceberg and about to freeze to death, suddenly put into warm water. The comfort brought by the sudden disappearance of the piercing pain made Jiu Fei Yan moan. Jiu Fei Yan bit her lips desperately, afraid of making any more noise. It feels so good to be gently touched by such a big hand. Jiu Fei Yan thought secretly. Bai Ruoling pointed at Wu Jin and said, "What did you do to Fei Yan?" Wu Jin was unmoved and said, "You have not experienced such pain, so you can't understand. In fact, being healthy, free of disease and no pain is also a kind of happiness." Bai Ruoling. But Jiu Fei Yan had a deep understanding. If it weren't for the obsession of revenge that always supported her, she might not have the courage to live until now. "Okay, the disease has been controlled by me. Come here once a week in the future. Maybe 2 more times will be enough." Wu Jin retracted his palm, looked at Jiu Fei Yan meaningfully, and walked to the sink to wash his hands. "You have to come twice more. Doesn't that mean Fei Yan has to pay for you to take advantage of her twice more?" Bai Ruoling asked in surprise. "I emphasize again that it is treatment, not taking advantage. How can you be so dirty, little girl?" "I am dirty. You are dirty, and the whole community is dirty." Jiu Fei Yan lay on the bed with her eyes closed, motionless, with 2 lines of tears flowing from the corners of her eyes. For a year and a half, Jiu Feiyan was tortured to death by this raging energy every once in a while. At first, she could suppress it, but slowly, the intervals became shorter and shorter, and it became more and more difficult to suppress it. If she hadn't met Wu Jin, she didn't know how long she could hold on. 1 year? Half a year? Or 2 months? Jiu Feiyan opened her eyes and looked at Wu Jin with gratitude. But in Bai Rawling's view, Jiu Feiyan looked like a fangirl. Wu Jin wiped his hands and said, "Don't look at it, hurry up and put on your clothes. You are such a big girl, why don't you know how to be shy?" Jiu Feiyan blushed and hurried to find clothes. Bai Rawling pointed at Wu Jin with a red face. "You are so shameless to take advantage of others." Wu Jin didn't say anything, with an expression that said "you are right," which made Bai Rawling grit her teeth, but she couldn't do anything. It was the first time for her to have such close contact with the opposite sex. After putting on her clothes, Jiu Feiyan lost her former aloofness and was only shy. She bowed to Wu Jin. "Thank you, I will come to see you again." Considering Jiu Feiyan's injury, Wu Jin heard her hidden meaning, which should be that she wanted him to help. Pretending not to understand, she waved her hands. "Studying medicine is to treat patients, and treating patients is to get money. Just give me the treatment fee. No need to say anything else." Hearing that Wu Jin had no intention of helping her to avenge herself, Jiu Feiyan was still a little unwilling, and bowed again and said, "I hope you can help me." Before Jiu Feiyan finished speaking, Wu Jin interrupted directly, "I am just a quack doctor. It is my duty to treat patients and collect money. I am not interested in meddling in other people's business." A trace of disappointment flashed in her eyes. Although she didn't care much about her appearance, she was still very confident in her appearance. Being ignored by Wu Jin like this, she couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. Jiu Feiyan was also a person with a strong self-esteem, and she quickly adjusted her mentality. "I am lucky to have my injuries healed today. Why should I ask for help from others? Practice diligently, and I will avenge myself." Jiu Feiyan transferred 20,000 yuan to Wu Jin through her mobile phone. It is convenient to have a smartphone. Wu Jin fiddled with his mobile phone and said to himself. Jiu Feiyan saw that Wu Jin had no intention of paying attention to her, so she had to take Bai Rawling away. Even when they were outside the infirmary, Bai Rawling didn't understand what the two had just said. It seemed that Jiu Feiyan asked Wu Jin for help, but was rejected by Wu Jin. This made Bai Rawling hard to accept. Wherever they went, they were the center of attention. In this shabby infirmary of number 1 middle school, they were ignored. Fake noble. Big pervert. Miser. Aren't you just trying to attract our attention? Thinking of Wu Jin taking advantage of Jiu Feiyan and finally shamelessly asking for 20,000 yuan, Bai Rawling got angry. With a turn of her eyes, Bai Rawling asked Jiu Feiyan, "Feiyan, are you okay? Can you go back to the classroom by yourself?" Jiu Feiyan nodded and said, "Linga, thank you for bringing me here. I'm fine now. If you have something to do, you can go first. We are good sisters who are as close as brothers. If I don't take care of you when you are sick, who will?" Bai Rawling pretended to be angry and said, "But I really have something to do. You can go back first." After that, she jumped and ran away. Bai Rawling ran to the basketball court and shouted to a group of boys who were playing basketball, "Xie Qingyun." A tall boy who was dribbling threw the ball and ran over. Various whistles suddenly rang out in the basketball court. Xie Qingyun liked Jiu Feiyan, which was known to everyone in number 1 middle school, but Jiu Feiyan ignored him. As Jiu Feiyan's best friend, Bai Rawling usually doesn't pay much attention to Xie Qingyun, but today she took the initiative to find the basketball court, which made Xie Qingyun very confused. Xie Qingyun ran over and asked, "Linga, is there something wrong?" Bai Rawling responded without giving face, "Don't call me Linga, it's so corny." Then she waved her hand for Xie Qingyun to get closer, and asked mysteriously, "Feiyan was taken advantage of today, do you want to know who it was?" "What? Took advantage of Feiyan?" Xie Qingyun's eyes were red, staring at Bai Rawling. "Tell me who it is, I'm going to kill him. Feiyan often has stomachaches, don't you know?" "I know, I want to take her to the hospital, but she doesn't go, and says that going to the hospital is useless. Feiyan's stomach hurts again today, so I took her to the school clinic." Bai Rawling exaggerated what happened just now. In her description, Wu Jin is an unforgivable pervert who takes advantage of others and asks for money. Xie Qingyun has always regarded Ji Feiyan as his own forbidden fruit. In the past, a suitor touched Ji Feiyan's little hand and was beaten into the hospital by Xie Qingyun and his men. After being discharged from the hospital, he was so scared that he transferred to another school. After listening to Bai Ruoling's story, Xie Qingyun's teeth were almost broken, and he wanted to rush to the infirmary to beat Wu Jin immediately. I know you like Feiyan, but you can't hit people again, Bai Ruoling warned. But no matter how you look at it, her warning is to remind Xie Qingyun to deal with Wu Jin quickly. With a fierce light flashing in his eyes, Xie Qingyun gritted his teeth and said, "Don't worry, I will go to him to have a good talk." "Humph, let you take advantage of Feiyan, wait for a beating." Bai Ruoling knew that the provocation had been successful, waved his hand, and jumped away. After school, Wu Jin met Xu Lili at the school gate, rode his bicycle and took Xu Da, the school beauty, home slowly. "Humph, you are really a big pervert. You already have Xu Lili, but you still take advantage of Feiyan." Bai Ruoling drove the car and followed Wu Jin from a distance. To go home from number 1 middle school, you must pass through a forest. In the past, Xu Lili always walked along the main road, but Wu Jin thought it was too troublesome to take a detic, so he always went through the forest path. Walking to the middle of the forest, Wu Jin stopped and frowned slightly. "Why don't you leave?" Xu Lili asked curiously. "Someone is hiding there." Wu Jin pointed to a low bush next to him and said, "Ah, will someone rob you?" Xu Lili panicked and grabbed Wu Jin's arm tightly. Patting Xu Lili's hand, Wu Jin shouted loudly, "Why are you sneaking around? Come out." Sure enough, 3 burly young men walked out of the bushes. Xu Lili immediately recognized them. The leader was Xie Qingyun. Bai Ruoling also followed from a distance, and her little head appeared behind a big tree. "I didn't expect this kid to be so alert." Xie Qingyun mocked, "But what if you found out? From the moment you took advantage of Feiyan, your fate was doomed. I was wondering why someone ambushed me. It turned out to be because of Ji Feiyan. What do you want?" Wu Jin asked indifferently. "What do you want? Everyone in number 1 middle school knows that Ji Feiyan is my, Xie Qingyun's, woman. If you dare to touch my woman, you must be prepared to be beaten," Xie Qingyun said fiercely. "Oh, so you are Xie Qingyun?" Wu Jin was just asking Xu Lili about Ji Feiyan. When talking about Ji Feiyan, of course he couldn't avoid Xie Qingyun who hurt people for her. Wu Jin patted Xu Lili's hand and said, "You go back first." Xu Lili immediately objected, "No. I want to go with you." "Don't worry, it will be fine. You know they are not my opponents. It's not convenient for me to be here." Xu Lili was stunned, thinking of the first time they met. "Okay, be careful when you attack, they are still students. I'll wait for you to come back." Xu Lili said a few words and turned to leave. Xie Qingyun and others did not stop him, their target was Wu Jin. Wu Jin looked at Xie Qingyun with a smile and asked, "You intercepted me halfway, aren't you afraid that I will call the police?" "We didn't intercept you halfway. I'm drinking with friends now. More than a dozen people can testify for me." Xie Qingyun came from a wealthy family and was generous. He had won over a group of students who liked to make trouble. He was also a bully in the school. He was familiar with bullying. Chapter 14: The Informer. Wu Jin sneered, "Xie Qingyun, I heard that Ji Feiyan ignored you. How did she become your woman? At best, you are just one-sided and wishful thinking. You look pitiful, get out of here quickly, I can pretend that this incident never happened." Ji Feiyan's disregard for him was Xie Qingyun's biggest sore spot. Wu Jin's words were a sharp stab in Xie Qingyun's heart. How shameless! Xie Qingyun's forehead was bulging with veins. "Boy, I just wanted to beat you up, but who knew you would kill yourself? Don't you like giving people massages? I'll break both of your hands today, let's see how you can still give massages." Oh my god, this is going to be a big deal. Hearing that Xie Qingyun was going to break Wu Jin's hands, Bai Ruoling knew that she couldn't watch the fun anymore, and hurried out to dissuade him. "Xie Qingyun, even if Wu Jin offended you, it's okay to beat him up, but breaking his hands is too much." Xie Qingyun was so angry at this time that he didn't care much. He waved his hand and a younger brother immediately stood up to hold Bai Ruoling. Bai Ruoling was also panicked. She just felt that Wu Jin was greedy for money and pretended to be noble, and she couldn't stand it at most. She originally wanted to provoke Xie Qingyun to beat Wu Jin up. Who knew that Wu Jin's words were so annoying, which angered Xie Qingyun? Bai Ruoling regretted it, but she was being dragged and had no choice but to shout to Wu Jin, "Why are you still standing there? Run quickly, Xie Qingyun has been so angry that he can really do it." Wu Jin was still curious, how did Xie Qingyun know that he was giving Ji Yufeiyan a massage? Seeing Bai Ruoling, he understood that this girl was the informer. But being able to stop Xie Qingyun did not mean that he was hopeless. However, Xie Qingyun wanted to break his hands, which made Wu Jin very unhappy. "You know, you are playing with fire." Wu Jin stared at Xie Qingyun and said coldly, "You are still showing off to me at this time." Xie Qingyun laughed, "You ignorant country bumpkin, if you see me in kowtow and beg for mercy, maybe I can let you go. Now it's too late. Even if you beg for mercy, you have completely angered me." Without waiting for Wu Jin to answer, Xie Qingyun and his two younger brothers surrounded Wu Jin in a square shape and said fiercely, "Go, beat this kid, I will treat everyone to a meal at Qingyun Tower." He took the lead and punched Wu Jin's head. For high school students, Wu Jin thought they were still children, and he really had no interest in bullying them. Who knew that Xie Qingyun would pester him and even wanted to cut off his hands at any time? Wu Jin decided to teach them a lesson. Blocking Xie Qingyun's fist, without waiting for Xie Qingyun to attack again, Wu Jin slapped him in the face, fanning Xie Qingyun away, lying on the ground, unable to move for a long time. At this time, the attacks of the other two also arrived. The strange thing was that when they attacked together, Wu Jin could block them no matter how fast they were, but no one could dodge Wu Jin's slap. In less than 10 seconds, Xie Qingyun and his two younger brothers were lying on the ground with their faces covered. Bai Ruoling was so shocked that she could stuff an egg into her mouth. Wu Jin's thin body actually contained such a great explosive force. Xie Qingyun was a big man of more than 1.8 meters, and he was slapped away by Wu Jin. This completely overturned her worldview. Wu Jin's unrestrained and free-spirited attitude when he was besieged also left a deep impression in her heart. Wu Jin patted Xie Qingyun's face and asked, "Boy, I told you that you are playing with fire. Do you understand now?" Xie Qingyun felt that Wu Jin didn't dare to do anything to him, so he stiffened his neck and said, "Wu, don't think I'm afraid of you just because you can fight. As long as you don't kill me today, I will definitely get back to Day's place." Wu Jin was stunned. He was still acting arrogant at this time. This guy was a fool. How could he know that Xie Qingyun had been smooth sailing since he was a child, and he was used to being domineering in number 1 middle school? He had never suffered any loss. This time, Wu Jin slapped him in the face in front of his younger brother and the school beauty. He was sure that Bai Ruoling would tell Ji Yufeiyan. How could he let it go after losing so much face? Of course Wu Jin would not kill Xie Qingyun. It's not that he didn't dare, but that he didn't want to. He was not a murderer, and he killed people because of such a small matter. But Xie Qingyun's attitude made him very unhappy. With a turn of his eyes, Wu Jin thought of a good idea. He stretched out his hand and swiped a few times, stripping Xie Qingyun down to only his underwear, pointing at the other two and saying, "Take it off. Take off everything except your underwear." At first, there was still a little brother who was unwilling. Wu Jin punched and kicked him, and he reluctantly took off his pants slowly. No wonder he was unwilling to take it off, a grown man wearing pink underwear. Wu Jin tied their hands and feet with clothes, stuffed smelly socks in their mouths, and hung them on the tree one by one. Wu Jin turned on the camera on his mobile phone, took a short video, and went to the forum of number 1 middle school. Raising his mobile phone, Wu Jin said, "You wait here, how long it will take for someone to come and save you depends on your popularity." Xie Qingyun and his gang did a lot of bad things in number 1 middle school, especially like to bully students with poor family backgrounds like Shu Lily. If Shu Lily hadn't had good grades and teachers to protect her, she might have been harmed by this gang long ago. Although Bai Ruoling had never been bullied by Xie Qingyun, as Ji Yufeiyan's best friend, Xie Qingyun always pestered her, and she also felt that Xie Qingyun was annoying. Although she felt that Wu Jin's handling of the matter was very satisfying, Bai Ruoling was still a little worried and reminded him, "Wu Jin, you hang them here, they won't be eaten by wild beasts, right? Don't worry, this is the outskirts of the city, there are no wild beasts, but there are many mosquitoes in the woods. Let them feed the mosquitoes, so that they can learn their lesson. If they want to cut off people's limbs at a young age, what will happen when they grow up?" Wu Jin said in a stern manner. "Oh my god, this is too vicious. Bai Ruoling shuddered secretly when she heard it, and secretly glanced at Wu Jin. Seeing that Wu Jin was admiring Xie Qingyun and others hanging on the tree, he turned around and wanted to slip away. Just after taking 2 steps, Wu Jin said calmly, "Stop." Bai Ruoling immediately put on a cute smile and said coquettishly, "Dr. Wu, are you talking about me?" Wu Jin pointed at Xie Qingyun hanging on the tree and asked, "This guy came to trouble me, did you instigate it?" Bai Ruoling knew that she could not hide it anymore, so she admitted openly, "I am not instigating it. Xie Qingyun said he wanted to meet you and talk to you. Who knew he would dare to fight you? Do you know?" Wu Jin stepped forward and shouted angrily, "If I didn't know a few punches and kicks, if I were an ordinary doctor, what do you think would happen to me today? If I were an ordinary person, I would probably have my hands broken today. Even if they were reattached, I would not be able to work in this life and would be considered useless." Bai Ruoling's face flushed after being scolded by Wu Jin, and she said with tears in her eyes, "I didn't mean it. Why are you so fierce? At most, I will apologize to you." "Apologize? If something really happened, apologies are useless." Wu Jin became angrier and angrier. He grabbed Bai Ruoling and pressed her on his legs, and slapped her on the butt. Bai Ruoling was stunned. Even the fools hanging on the tree widened their eyes. Wu Jin didn't show any mercy. He used force on his hands and hit Bai Ruoling's butt hard, making a slapping sound. He didn't stop until he hit her 7 or 8 times. Although Bai Ruoling spoke carelessly, she had never been close to the opposite sex. Now that she was spanked by Wu Jin, she couldn't hold back her tears any longer, and they flowed down. Letting go of Bai Ruoling, Wu Jin also calmed down. Bai Ruoling looked at Wu Jin with resentment and said bitterly, "You only know how to bully girls, what kind of hero are you?" Wu Jin was too lazy to talk and pointed at Xie Qingyun and others hanging on the tree. Bai Ruoling was so angry that she immediately changed her words, "You only know how to bully us students. Next time I will definitely find a master to avenge me. Go find him. I'll wait." Bai Ruoling's big eyes rolled around and she said to Wu Jin, "I know a good place with many masters. Do you dare to go with me?" Wu Jin replied lazily, not interested. "Really? The place I'm talking about is very exciting." "No. Go. I heard that if you fight there, you can get a generous bonus if you win." "Bonus? You can get a bonus for fighting." Wu Jin changed his mind immediately after hearing the bonus. "Come on, take me there." "Humph, money grubber." Bai Ruoling muttered secretly, "But it's fine as long as Wu Jin agrees to go." At that time, let General Manager Zhang find a few powerful boxers to teach Wu Jin a lesson. Xie Qingyun was hung on the tree with a sock stuffed in his mouth. His only hope was Bai Ruoling. When he saw Bai Ruoling was leaving, he whimpered anxiously, but Bai Ruoling pretended not to hear him. He touched his sore buttocks and limped to the parking place with Wu Jin. Not long after Bai Ruoling left, it was dark. Xie Qingyun and his friends were miserable. They were hung on the tree naked, and each of them had at least dozens of mosquitoes lying on them. The mosquitoes in the wild were more vicious than the other, and these people were tied up and couldn't scratch them. They had to keep shaking their bodies to drive them away. Soon they were exhausted and accepted their fate. When someone found this place and untied them, they were all fat. They didn't care about putting on clothes. They scratched and scratched their bodies one by one, and burst into tears while scratching. Xie Qingyun cried and said harshly, "Wu Jin, you wait. I will never let you go." Wu Jin sat on Bai Ruoling's Audi TT next to him. Bai Ruoling endured the pain in his buttocks and cursed Wu Jin that he would never find a girlfriend in his life while driving. Although Wu Jin didn't know much about cars, he could tell that this car should not be cheap. It seems that this girl has some background. But if Bai Ruoling didn't say it, Wu Jin didn't bother to ask. If you want to get it, you can fight for it with your ability and hard work, and you don't need to curry favor with anyone. Connections, money, and power are all empty in Wu Jin's eyes. The only thing that is truly completely controlled in his hands is his own ability. Things obtained by external factors such as relationships without ability will not last long after all. What others can give you can be easily taken away from you. Without stopping all the way, Bai Ruoling drove directly to a holiday estate in the suburbs. Chapter 15 Underground Boxing Gym. After entering the manor, the car drove to a lake. In the night, a small island could be vaguely seen in the middle of the lake. After walking a few hundred meters along the lake, we saw a fence gate with 4 big characters, "No entry," written on it in eye-catching red. Behind the gate was a long bridge that led directly to the island in the middle of the lake. Bai Ruoling stopped the car and took out a card similar to a bank card and handed it to the security guard at the door. The security guard took the card and swiped it on a device next to it. The fence opened automatically and let Bai Ruoling's car pass. After arriving at the island in the middle of the lake, at the end of the bridge, he went through another security check before being allowed to pass. The island in the middle of the lake is not big, only about 5 or 6 square kilometers. The antique buildings and small bridges and flowing water are scattered in an orderly manner. It is obvious that they were designed by famous artists at a glance, which is much better than those rigid gardens outside. After getting on the island, Bai Ruoling did not stop the car, but drove all the way to the center of the island, past the third security check, and parked in a yard. The courtyard is surrounded by a 5-meter-high thick wall with barbed wire on top. There is an ordinary small building in the middle of the courtyard. At this time, the courtyard is full of various luxury cars, many of which have license plates from other places. After driving all the way, Bai Ruoling's buttocks are no longer so painful. She took Wu Jin into the small building, took out the black card in front of the elevator and swiped it, and the elevator opened. The elevator went down more than 10 meters before stopping. As soon as the elevator door opened, a clamor like a wave hit us. A hall of several thousand square meters, with a 10-foot square arena in the middle, surrounded by rows of seats. At this time, the seats were full of people, and on the arena in the middle, there were more than a dozen sexy beauties dancing wildly to the music. Wu Jin didn't expect that there was such a large underground space on the island in the middle of the lake. This is a big deal. Wu Jin felt that he had underestimated Bai Ruoling. This was not a place where ordinary rich girls could come. Bai Ruoling felt Wu Jin's gaze, smiled triumphantly, and walked inside with Wu Jin's arm. This is the largest underground boxing gym in Longcheng and even in the surrounding provinces. There are life and death fights here every once in a while. It's super exciting. I've been here with others a few times. Once I saw a frail-looking little guy on the ring beat a strong black man to death. But the little guy was also seriously injured, and his entire left arm was twisted off by the black man. That scene was so shocking that Bai Ruoling dreamed about it for several days after he went back. Even now, he feels a chill on his back when he thinks about it. Wu Jin didn't care at all. He cared about how to make money. "Didn't you say you would bring me here to fight and win the prize? Can we just go up and fight?" "Of course not. Wait, I'll make some arrangements." Taking Wu Jin to a private room on the second floor, Bai Ruoling took out his cell phone and made a call. A few minutes later, a man in a well-dressed suit came over and bowed slightly to Bai Ruoling. "Miss Bai, my name is Li Daichen, you can call me Xiao Li. Mr. Zhang asked me to come and receive you, how can I help you?" Bai Ruoling casually said, "I brought a boxer, you arrange it." Xiao Li said in embarrassment, "Miss Bai, there are some requirements for our boxers here, this gentleman." Xiao Li looked at Wu Jin's thin body, and the meaning was self-evident. "Don't worry, I have seen him fight, and he must meet your requirements," Bai Ruoling assured. Xiao Li nodded, "Miss Bai, it's not that I don't believe you, we also have our rules. Look, I'll take this gentleman to test it. If this gentleman can meet our requirements, I will immediately complete the procedures. How about it?" Bai Ruoling frowned, "I've said it 100 times, and you still don't believe me." Xiao Li laughed awkwardly twice and didn't dare to answer. Wu Jin was too lazy to watch Bai Ruoling's temper, and said to Xiao Li indifferently, "I am willing to accept your test, let's go." Xiao Li looked at Wu Jin gratefully, and quickly led the way. "Sir, our test is very simple, you just need to hit the boxing target 10 times in a row with the fastest speed and the greatest force." While talking, Xiao Li took Wu Jin into an office, turned on the switch of the special boxing target machine, and said, "It's ready." Wu Jin didn't waste time, and quickly punched the boxing target 10 times with his fists alternately. Ding! 2 lines of words appeared on the display screen behind the boxing target machine. The total punching time is 2.3 seconds, and the total punching weight is 1,236.35 kilograms. Oh my god, this is 10 consecutive punches in 2.3 seconds, and each punch weighs more than 120 kilograms on average. Xiao Li rubbed his eyes, watched it again, and said in shock, "Our boxing gym is going to have another master." When Xiao Li first met Wu Jin, he despised him very much, thinking that Wu Jin had to use backdoors even for black boxing, but he didn't show it out of professionalism. Now Wu Jin is full of war for the strong. He has been hanging out in underground boxing gyms for many years, and he knows very well what such data means. It means that Wu Jin is a great master who can be promoted quickly. If he knew that Wu Jin only used 2 points of strength, I don't know how surprised he would be. This time, Bai Ruoling didn't need to explain. Xiao Li ran around and helped Wu Jin complete the procedures as quickly as possible. The so-called procedures are to sign some documents similar to life and death statements, stating that once on the field, any accidents including death will have nothing to do with the boxing gym. Wu Jin glanced at it casually and signed his name on it. Xiao Li handed Wu Jin a green boxer pass and told Wu Jin the rules of the boxing gym. Boxers are divided into 4 levels: ordinary boxers, advanced boxers, top boxers, and boxing champions. Every registered newcomer is an ordinary boxer. Only after accumulating 10 victories and having 5 consecutive victories can they be promoted to a higher level. If a higher level boxer challenges and a low level boxer wins the challenge, he will be automatically promoted. Currently, there are more than 500 ordinary boxers in the boxing gym, 46 advanced boxers, only 7 top boxers, and only 1 boxing champion. Wu Jin was very puzzled. Why is there such a big gap between ordinary boxers and advanced boxers? Xiao Li smiled and explained, as long as you are willing to come and meet the minimum requirements, we will accept disabled people. Among our top boxers, there is a one-armed one. So many people who are short of money want to try their luck, but if you want to advance to advanced boxers, you need 10 victories, among which 5 consecutive victories are the most difficult. Many boxers have won dozens of games, but they cannot achieve 5 consecutive victories and cannot advance. Wu Jin suddenly realized that even if the level is similar, who can guarantee that they can win 5 games in a row? Maybe there are masters among ordinary boxers. Wu Jin is most concerned about the bonus issue, so he asked, what is the reward if you win? Ordinary players get 20,000 yuan for each win, advanced players get 50,000 yuan, and top boxers get 200,000 yuan. What about the boxing champion? Xiao Li said with admiration, the boxing champion has no price, you can discuss it with the boxing gym, but the boxing champion has not made a move for 2 or 3 years. Wu Jin did not comment. Xiao Li asked, when will you be ready to go on stage? The sooner the better. Then please give me the boxer pass, and I'll go and register for you. To prevent cheating among boxers, we randomly assign opponents. The winner has the right to choose to continue to defend the ring, but the opponent is still randomly assigned, and there is no right to choose the opponent. Wu Jin nodded, indicating that he understood. He took some messy documents and returned to the private room on the 2nd floor. At this time, the sexy girl dancing on the ring had gone down, and the 2 boxers were fighting back and forth. What a pity. Wu Jin shook his head regretfully. If he had known, he would have watched the beauty show before doing any tests. Bai Ruoling was sitting on the sofa by the window, concentrating on watching the punches and kicks on the ring. Hearing Wu Jin open the door, he quickly stood up and asked, is everything done? Wu Jin raised the documents in his hand. Bai Ruoling asked quickly, when will you go on stage? Why are you so excited? No way. I just hope to see you show off your skills and amaze the audience. Bai Ruoling explained quickly, then stood up and walked out the door. Sit down for a while, I'm going to the bathroom. Women are so troublesome. Wu Jin didn't bother to pay attention to Bai Ruoling, and sat in front of the window to watch the competition on the ring. Bai Ruoling walked out of the private room, but didn't go to the bathroom, but ran directly to find Xiao Li. The beauty came, and Xiao Li asked with a smile on his face, Miss Bai, do you have anything else to do? Bai Ruoling waved her hand, motioning Xiao Li to come closer. Xiao Li quickly leaned his head over. Bai Ruoling whispered, can you arrange a few masters to teach the boy I brought a lesson? Didn't you bring him here? Bai Ruoling's request puzzled Xiao Li, but after being in this kind of place for a long time, he knew that he shouldn't ask questions, so he said with embarrassment, Miss Bai, you also know our rules. Boxers are randomly assigned opponents. Bai Ruoling curled her lips and said disdainfully, your tricks are okay to deceive outsiders, but don't tell me. Okay, I will report to the general manager. Xiao Li knew a little about Bai Ruoling's background, so he asked, then how do you want to deal with him? No refusal means there is a chance. Beat him up, preferably on the buttocks, have someone kick his buttocks hard. Bai Ruoling thought for a moment and added, but be careful, just let him feel the pain for a few days, don't really maim or kill him. That gentleman is quite skilled, there are not many ordinary boxers in our gym who can beat him. I will ask the general manager now. If the general manager has no objection, I will arrange it." Xiao Li agreed and left in a hurry. "HMPH, you dare to hit my buttocks, let's see if you can run away this time. Wait until your buttocks are broken, let me see how I will deal with you." Bai Ruoling had already planned that when Wu Jin's buttocks were injured, she would drive him to the road and let him taste the feeling of having a burning buttocks after walking a few steps. When she thought of Wu Jin limping and touching his buttocks from time to time, Bai Ruoling's mood immediately improved, and she jumped back to the private room. Chapter 16 Tanks. The match on the ring was over. Bai Ruoling hurriedly asked Wu Jin, who won, the red team or the blue team? "The blue team, why are you so nervous?" "Hey, my pocket money for this month is gone again." When Bai Ruoling heard that the blue team won, she was like a deflated ball, her head drooped and said, "You don't know, you can bet on winning or losing here. I just bet on the red team to win, but that bastard actually lost, causing me to lose all my pocket money." "There is such a thing?" Wu Jin asked curiously, "Can I bet?" "Players are not allowed to bet." Bai Ruoling replied, "But I can bet for you." "Take out a bank card and hand it over," Wu Jin said. "There are more than 1 million in this card. The password is 6 sixes, you bet 1 million for me and I will win." Bai Ruoling took the card half doubtfully. "Is it true?" Wu Jin did not answer, his eyes staring at the sexy beauty who came on stage again below. It didn't take long for Xiao Li to call Wu Jin to inform him that he would be on stage next. After going backstage to change into the big shorts and a red belt provided by the boxing gym, Wu Jin walked onto the ring. His opponent was a 2-meter tall muscular man with a bronze body and strong muscles. He was completely incomparable to the gym coaches. There was a long scar on his back, and he exuded an explosive aura. Both the red and blue players had already come on stage, and the host shouted with a microphone, "Welcome the red player, Tank." The audience shouted crazily, "Tank! Tank! Tank!" Tank immediately posed in various poses to the audience, showing his strong muscles, causing screams from the audience. The host seized the opportunity and shouted, "I believe everyone knows that Tank is a very powerful boxer. In the test, his punching power has reached a terrifying 178 kilograms. Tank has experienced 8 battles in this ring. Except for encountering the King of Hell, he has never lost and has completely defeated his opponents every time. Can he continue to win today? Let's wait and see." The screen above the ring began to play Tank's previous games. As the name suggests, Tank's fighting style is to rush forward, relying on his strong muscles and super strength to exchange injuries with his opponents, and his methods are fierce. In the film, his opponents almost never walked off the ring, either with broken hands or broken feet. "Tank will win. Tank will win. Tank will win." Tank supporters and those who bet on Tank to win cheered and encouraged. With both hands pressed in vain, the audience in the audience gradually quieted down. Their host picked up the microphone and introduced, "Now let me introduce our blue player, Wu Jin." The lighting technician quickly turned the spotlight on Wu Jin. The audience immediately booed. There was no way. Standing next to the muscular Tank who was over 2 meters tall, Wu Jin, who was over 1.7 meters tall, looked like a child standing next to an adult. In fact, Wu Jin's figure was solid and well proportioned, and he was also very attractive. Many female viewers had already switched to Wu Jin's camp. However, this was a boxing ring, not a modeling contest. People who came here liked the figure of Tank, who looked powerful. It was Wu Jin's first time to participate, and even his nickname was just Wu Jin. There was not much to introduce. The host simply advertised, "There are still a few minutes before the game starts. Guests who need to bet, please hurry up. Once the game starts, no more bets will be accepted." The odds also appeared on the big screen. Tank 1 minute and 0.6 seconds, Wu Jin 1:4. Even those who didn't bet were attracted. 1:4 is a very rare odds. Who are you betting on? Do I need to ask? Of course it's Tank. Wu Jin's odds are very high, I'm a little tempted. Brother, don't be tempted. High odds are to attract you laymen. In this match, Tank will win. What's the point of Wu Jin's high odds? Wu Jin is on stage for the first time. Who knows if he's a dark horse? The whole audience was discussing similar things. Most people were still calm. They bet on Tank, who had a greater chance of winning. It's better to win less than to lose everything. Only those who were willing to take a gamble chose to bet on Wu Jin. The odds were almost insulting, but Wu Jin was not angry at all. He winked at a private room on the second floor. Bai Ruoling was sitting on the sofa with a frown on her face. She was just upset about being spanked by Wu Jin and wanted to teach Wu Jin a lesson. She didn't expect that the boxing gym would arrange a master like Tank right from the start. He was not only strong but also brutal. Tank's arms were thicker than Wu Jin's thighs, and a random punch could weigh 200 or 300 pounds. There was no discrimination in the ring. If Wu Jin was accidentally hit by a punch, wouldn't he be beaten to vomit blood? Now that everyone was standing on the ring, it was impossible to stop him. Bai Ruoling had no idea that the boxing gym had no choice. Wu Jin's strength during the test was already at the first-class level among ordinary boxers. In order to ensure victory, they had to send out Tank, who was much stronger than Wu Jin. From the odds, it can be seen that the boxing gym also felt that Wu Jin had little chance of winning. Seeing that Wu Jin didn't forget to remind himself to place a bet at this time, Bai Ruoling got angry. "Forget it, I have already reminded Xiao Li, it shouldn't be a problem, I will also bet my New Year's money, as a support for you." Bai Ruoling called the waiter and swiped 2 cards. Dang dang dang. The game officially began. Tank looked at Wu Jin with contempt, and said in a muffled voice, "Boy, you go first, otherwise you won't have a chance." Wu Jin hooked his index finger at Tank. The audience was in an uproar. "Oh my god, you are so good at pretending, do your family know?" "Tank, go. Hit him. I'm going to tear you apart." Wu Jin's provocative action completely angered Tank. He raised his fist as big as a casserole and hit Wu Jin. "It's over, Wu Jin, you big fool, why did you provoke this stupid cow for no reason?" Bai Ruoling simply closed her eyes. In her opinion, Wu Jin's provocation was courting death. She was already imagining the scene of Wu Jin being hit by Tank. However, the situation she expected did not happen, and what appeared was the surprised shouts of the audience. Bai Ruoling opened her eyes in surprise. On the ring, Wu Jin jumped up and down like a monkey, and Tank chased behind him. Every time he was about to hit Wu Jin, he always hit Wu Jin's body and hit him in the air. Bai Ruoling breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that Wu Jin was not powerless to fight back. However, if you defend too long, you will lose. In the fierce attack of Tank, Wu Jin looked like a small boat in the storm, which could capsize at any time. Others were watching with great excitement, secretly worried for Wu Jin, but Wu Jin, the person involved, was calculating how much money he could make this time. Wu Jin didn't take an opponent like Tank seriously at all, but he didn't rush to attack. If he killed the opponent in seconds, who would play with him? How could there be high odds? Wouldn't that be against money? If you let the water go a little, you can make a lot of money, why not do it? Occasionally, Wu Jin fought with Tank twice, and he retreated as soon as he was touched, pretending that he didn't dare to fight head-on. After fighting for more than 10 minutes, Tank's attack became more and more fierce, merciless, and his punches were aimed at the fatal parts. With his strength, if he was really hit, he would be seriously injured if not killed. Wu Jin was also provoked by Tank's brutal fighting style, and his speed suddenly increased again. He turned behind Tank and kicked him in the knee. Tank, who was running, suddenly fell to his knees and slid for 5 or 6 meters before stopping. Wu Jin rushed forward and stepped hard on Tank's calf. With a snap, the calf bone immediately broke into 2 pieces. Tank once said that he liked to hear the crisp sound of breaking other people's bones. This time, Wu Jin broke his calf bone and experienced the pain of broken bones. I don't know if he will say the same thing again in the future. Tank covered his calf and howled miserably. Wu Jin pretended to be exhausted, holding his knees with both hands and breathing heavily. Later, Wu Jin was struggling and was about to be caught up by Tank, who knew that he had a trick up his sleeve and suddenly exploded, killing Tank with lightning speed. The shock brought by this Jedi counterattack is self-evident. There was a moment of calm in the field, and then there was a tidal wave of shouting. Some people who bet on Tank lost money and cursed Tank loudly, while others who bet on Wu Jin made a lot of money and roared excitedly. Bai Ruoling burst into tears as she watched Wu Jin gasping for breath on the stage. She had completely forgotten the original intention of bringing Wu Jin here. Several staff members ran over to carry Tank down, and the medical staff nearby immediately gave him first aid. Their host ran up to the stage and asked, "Mr. Wu Jin, are you going to take a break or continue to defend the stage?" Wu Jin grabbed the microphone and asked the audience, what do you think? The audience shouted in unison, defend the stage. Defend the stage. Defend the stage. Wu Jin threw their microphone to their host and shouted emotionally, the stage is alive, but the stage is lost and the person dies. A burst of applause suddenly rang out from the audience. The display screen on the stage immediately began to scroll the photos of the contestants who registered today. The photo froze, and a short and sturdy young man appeared on the screen, with his nickname and information marked next to the photo. Swift wind. The audience immediately took a breath of cold air and sighed that Wu Jin was unlucky. He had just won by speed, and now he faced the swift wind who was famous for his speed. Wu Jin smiled slightly, not taking it seriously, and admired the dancing beauties who were cheering for the crowd from a close distance. When Wu Jin announced that he would defend the ring, Bai Ruoling rushed out of the private room and just squeezed under the ring. The staff guarding the ring got a signal from Xiao Li and let Bai Ruoling in. A pervert is a pervert. He still has the mind to look at beauties at this time. Seeing Wu Jin staring at the beauties in the ring with green eyes, Bai Ruoling was furious and stretched out her hand to pinch the soft flesh on Wu Jin's waist. Ouch! Turning around, he saw Bai Ruoling's pretty face that was about to drip with water. Wu Jin rubbed the soft flesh that was pinched and asked angrily, "Crazy girl, why are you pinching me?" Chapter 17 Wu Jin vs Ji Feng. You still call me a crazy girl? I think you are the biggest lunatic. Why don't you get off the stage after winning? What are you still showing off? Bai Ruoling said angrily, your advantage is your speed. They sent the fastest Ji Feng. Can't you see that they are targeting you? You are still stupid enough to fight. Wu Jin looked at Bai Ruoling with a smile, you used provocation to provoke me, don't you just want to see me get beaten? Why do you care about me now? Have you seen my strength and perfect figure and your heart is rippling? Bai Ruoling snorted coldly, I don't want you to be beaten to death. Even if you want to die, you have to cure Fei Yan's disease before you die. Bai Ruoling's pouting look is so cute that Wu Jin couldn't help pinching her chubby face, don't worry, I won't be defeated so easily. Wu Jin pinched Bai Ruoling's face. This intimate behavior was caught by the photographer and immediately transferred to the display screen on the ring. The audience immediately started to make noises, and all kinds of whistles were heard one after another. Bai Ruoling blushed with shame, and she slapped Wu Jin's hand away. You're still shy, but your little face is quite smooth. Wu Jin looked amused, and seeing Bai Ruoling was about to show off, Wu Jin quickly changed the subject, by the way, have you placed a bet for me? Bai Ruoling rolled his eyes at Wu Jin, don't worry, money grubber, I didn't forget. You're lucky, you won for million in one go. Wu Jin smiled and said, this has nothing to do with luck, okay? If I hadn't won, I would have lost all my capital. It's still faster to make money in the city, wait a minute, continue to place bets. The screen on the ring began to play clips of Ji Feng's previous fights. In the video, Ji Feng was dodging and moving as fast as lightning. His fighting style was to rely on speed to dodge. Once he caught the opponent's floor, he would continue to attack until the opponent surrendered. Bai Ruoling's confidence, which had just been boosted by Wu Jin, suddenly disappeared, and she asked nervously, Wu Jin, this Ji Feng looks much faster than you, why don't we just stop fighting? Wu Jin shook his head and said firmly, no matter what you do, how can you retreat when you see a little difficulty? It's right to face the challenge head on. Don't worry, although this Ji Feng is powerful, I didn't try my best. The match was about to start, and the staff came to remind Bai Ruoling to leave. Seeing Wu Jin's fighting spirit boiling, Bai Ruoling hurriedly gave a few instructions and left with the staff. A young man in his 20s appeared at the door of the boxer's lounge. He had a short haircut, long legs, tight and strong muscles on his legs, and wore long boots on his feet. His supporters immediately shouted, Ji Feng! Ji Feng! After leaving the lounge, Ji Feng suddenly accelerated, like a gust of wind, and instantly appeared on the ring, standing opposite Wu Jin. Their host walked between the two, raised Ji Feng's hand, and introduced, welcome our red player, Ji Feng. Everyone has seen how fast Ji Feng is. But do you know why Ji Feng is so fast? Their host deliberately kept the audience in suspense, and waited until some people in the audience began to scold, and then slowly said, because Ji Feng comes from a mysterious ancient martial arts family. You may not know what an ancient martial arts family is. But you just need to know. One of Ji Feng's predecessors fought against a company of devils alone during the anti-Japanese war. Relying on lightning speed, he defeated the enemy one by one and wiped out all the enemies. And Ji Feng is the best of their generation. The audience felt very noble just by hearing the 4 words, ancient martial arts family. In addition, when the host introduced Ji Feng's predecessor's record, the audience looked at Ji Feng differently. Even Wu Jin became serious. The host raised Wu Jin's hand again. I don't need to introduce him. We have just seen Mr. Wu Jin's wonderful performance. Next is the collision between the 2 speed masters. Who will win? Please wait and see. You can also hurry up and place your bets. The odds for this time appeared on the screen. Ji Feng 1 minute and 0.85 seconds, Wu Jin 1:2. Due to Wu Jin's performance just now, the boxing gym lowered Wu Jin's odds, but it was still much higher than Ji Feng. Who are you betting on this time? I bet on Ji Feng. Wu Jin's speed is fast, but it is much worse than Ji Feng. And he has just fought a game and consumed a lot of physical strength. I think Ji Feng has a greater chance of winning. Yeah, I think so too. When Wu Jin was fighting against the tank, some people were willing to take the risk to bet on Wu Jin. When he was against Ji Feng, only by rolling bet on Wu Jin. No one thought that Wu Jin could turn the tables when he met an opponent who just restrained him. Dang dang dang, the bell rang, and the game officially began. The children of noble families naturally have the pride of children of noble families. Ji Feng bowed to Wu Jin and said, "You are very fast, but not as fast as me. We have already fought each other. For fairness, I can give you 3 moves. Go ahead." Wu Jin still hooked his index finger at Ji Feng as he did to Tank. The audience reacted more violently than when Wu Jin fought Tank. They shouted for Ji Feng to throw this arrogant boy down. Ji Feng frowned and rushed towards Wu Jin without any nonsense. Ji Feng's speed was very fast. It was precisely because of his speed that he was invincible in the boxing gym. Unfortunately, he met Wu Jin. Wu Jin just made a casual move and crushed Tank in speed. Ji Feng still couldn't force Wu Jin to use his full strength. Wu Jin still maintained the speed when fighting Tank. It seemed that he was a bit slower than Ji Feng, but no matter how fast Ji Feng's punch was, it was either blocked or dodged. He didn't hit Wu Jin once. In just 1 minute, the two had fought more than 200 times. The audience was dazzled and excited. Ji Feng jumped back and jumped out of Wu Jin's attack range, saying seriously, "You are the fastest and most defensive opponent I have ever met. To show my respect for you, I will do my best." After that, he squatted down, untied his shoelaces, took off his boots, and threw them under the ring. Bang! The boots hit the ground, and there was a sound of steel hitting each other. A staff member reached out to pick it up, but he couldn't lift it with one hand. Looking at the staff's struggling appearance, the boot must weigh at least 60 or 70 kilograms. The audience was in an uproar and stood up one after another. Oh my god, what did I see? Ji Feng is wearing such heavy boots, but is still so fast. Now that he takes off these heavy boots, I wonder how fast Ji Feng will be? Will he fly? I can't imagine. Ji Feng jumped a few times to get used to the feeling of losing the weight, grinned at Wu Jin, and rushed up again. After losing the weight, Ji Feng's speed soared instantly, even causing gusts of wind whistling. For the first time, Wu Jin became alert. In terms of speed alone, Ji Feng was not much worse than Wu Jin. While talking, Ji Feng had already rushed to Wu Jin's side, circling Wu Jin, trying his best to attack, while Wu Jin kept resisting. In an instant, the figures of the two people became blurred. The audience only saw the two people fighting from one side of the ring to the other, but could not see the process of the fight at all. Ji Feng's heart became colder and colder. His speed had been increased to the extreme, but he still couldn't touch the corner of Wu Jin's clothes. What does this mean? It means that Wu Jin is much stronger than imagined. Knowing that he was no match for Wu Jin, Ji Feng wanted to retreat, but he saw Wu Jin smiling at him. Seeing Wu Jin punching at his chest, Ji Feng quickly stretched out his hand to block it. This seemingly light punch pressed Ji Feng's arm and hit his chest. Ji Feng felt a pain in his chest and flew up. At the critical moment, Wu Jin retracted most of his strength, otherwise Ji Feng would have broken several ribs if not killed. The ring competition is not a fight of life and death. Wu Jin will not kill. Just now, Tank's calf was broken, which was purely Tank's own death. Wu Jin was ruthless in every move, so Wu Jin would naturally not show mercy. Although Ji Feng put more pressure on Wu Jin, he did not have a fatal move. Ji Feng climbed up, his arms trembling and hanging weakly. I admit defeat. Ji Feng came to boxing just for exercise, winning or losing was not important. He admitted defeat very happily, turned around and bowed to Wu Jin, saying, Feng Tue sect son Wu Ji thanks you for showing mercy. Wu Jin smiled and praised, you are really fast, I almost suffered a loss. The winner was decided, the audience was boiling again, this time even the general manager of the boxing gym couldn't sit still, rushed directly to the private room to find Bai Ruoling, smiled bitterly, Miss Bai, where did you find such a great master, and you asked me to find someone to teach him a lesson. Tank was seriously injured, our boxing gym suffered a loss this time big. Just now, when Jifeng took off their weights and went on the field, Bai Ruoling was desperate. Until now, she still couldn't believe that Wu Jin had won again. After coming to her senses, she smiled at the manager, Mr. Zhang, shouldn't you be happy? You made a lot of money tonight, didn't you? Speaking of this, manager Zhang suddenly became bitter. The 2 rounds just now were indeed a lot of money, but now we have no boxers who can match Mr. Wu. The outcome of the next game is obvious. Our boxing gym is doomed to lose. Miss Bai, please help us think of a solution. Bai Ruoling showed a helpless expression. Sure enough, Wu Jin chose to defend the ring again. This time, the system really randomly selected a boxer to go on stage. Those boxers who were not selected breathed a sigh of relief. Wu Jin's odds also became 1 minute and 0.2 seconds, while the opponent's odds became 1:2. This player has no outstanding features. Even if Wu Jin wanted to let him go, he couldn't do anything. He was defeated in a few moves. After several more matches, Wu Jin's odds turned out to be 1 minute and 0.03 seconds. Wu Jin refreshed the highest and lowest odds of the boxing gym within 1 day. At the end of the fight, no one was willing to go on stage. This was the first time since the boxing gym opened. Even the current boxing champion fought more than a dozen matches in a row, and was exhausted and asked for a rest. Wu Jin successfully defended the ring. It was already midnight when he left the underground boxing gym. Wu Jin sat in the car, holding his bank card, smiling, and this trip today was not in vain. After several bets, 1 million became more than 10 million. Big money grubber. Bai Ruoling curled her lips. I am a money grubber. You wanted to cheat me, but I made a lot of money. Are you not convinced? It doesn't matter. There will be such good things in the future. Remember to call me. He made a lot of money today, and he was too lazy to care about the little thing that this girl cheated him. HMPH, wait and see, we're here, get out of the car. After sending Wu Jin to the door, Bai Ruoling unceremoniously drove him out of the car. Bai Ruoling was very annoyed after suffering several defeats at the hands of Wu Jin today. With a roll of his eyes, he picked up the phone and dialed a number, go to the first medical clinic and install 2 cameras. Be careful not to be discovered. After hanging up the phone, Bai Ruoling snorted coldly, you big pervert, I'll let you spank me, wait until I catch you, HMPH. Chapter 18 Shopping with Mai. Wu Jin thought Xu Lili might be asleep, so he didn't knock on the door to wake her up. He jumped over the wall without knocking. Before he reached the room, the door of the next room opened. Holding a broom in his hand, Xu Lili asked vigilantly, who is it? Wu Jin turned around. Seeing that it was Wu Jin, Xu Lili relaxed her vigilance and ran over to ask, why did you come back so late? I was so worried. Are you okay? Are you injured? It was obvious that Xu Lili had been waiting until now because she was worried about Wu Jin. Wu Jin felt warm in his heart, and he reached out and touched Xu Lili's little head, saying, don't worry, I'm fine. If you don't believe me, just look. Wu Jin turned around in front of Xu Lili and smiled, no need to take off your clothes for inspection, right? I'll be shy. Who asked you to take off your clothes? You're not a decent person all day long. You deserve to be beaten to death. Even though he said those harsh words, he still looked carefully. After confirming that Wu Jin was really fine, Xu Lili was completely relieved and asked, it's so late, are you hungry? How about I make you something to eat? Wu Jin didn't feel hungry at first, but after Xu Lili said that, his stomach growled. Xu Lili covered her mouth and chuckled, wait, I'll give you food from below. Well, we haven't known each other for long, and we don't know each other well yet. Isn't it too fast? Also, have you taken a shower? Wu Jin asked with a smirk. Xu Lili was stunned for a moment, her face suddenly turned red, and she spat inwardly, "Rogue." She ran to the kitchen to cook. Wu Jin followed Shu Lily to the kitchen. Wu Jin rarely came to the kitchen. Now, although the kitchen was cleaned up by the mother and daughter, the kitchen utensils looked very worn. The copper spoon in Shu Lily's hand had been used for many years and had been worn very thin. There were even traces of repairs on the bottom. The mother and daughter usually used a coal stove to cook, burning dirty black coal balls. This cooking method has long been eliminated by most families. In order to protect the trees in the mountains, the government banned mountain people from going up the mountain to chop firewood. Wu Jin used the government's induction cooker in the mountains. Although there was a gas tank, the mother and daughter were reluctant to use it. They only used it when they were in a hurry. After all, it cost 100 yuan to fill a tank of gas. There was a buzzing refrigerator in the corner of the kitchen. Most of the paint had fallen off, and it was hard to tell the age. Not to mention the air conditioner, washing machine and range hood, this broken refrigerator and an old-fashioned TV are already the biggest appliances for the mother and daughter. The sofa in the living room, which can't tell the age, is the best furniture. Wu Jin felt more and more sad, so he found a topic to chat with Shu Lily. Why is Auntie still not off work so late? Wu Jin usually went to bed early and had no idea when Shu Guilan would get off work. Mom is on the night shift today, and she will probably be back soon. Shu Lily turned around and took out a small piece of meat from the refrigerator, cut it into shreds, stir-fried it for a while, then picked up the kettle from the coal stove next to her and poured half a pot of hot water into it. Thinking that Wu Jin was hungry, she comforted him, "You chased me to the kitchen, you must be hungry, don't worry, it will be ready soon." Yeah. Seeing that Shu Lily had a strand of hair swaying in front of her eyes, and couldn't free her hands to tidy it up, Wu Jin couldn't help but reach out and put the strand of hair behind her ear. Shu Lily blushed and said nothing. Wu Jin just couldn't help himself, but now he felt a little embarrassed, so he quickly continued chatting, "Auntie, do you get off work so late every day?" Mom's work is divided into morning shift and evening shift. The morning shift is from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m., and the evening shift is from 10:30 p.m. to closing time. Today I'm on the evening shift, so the time to get off work is uncertain. When the restaurant closes, when will I get off work? Shu Lily said with a distressed face. So long working hours. Wu Jin frowned. How much is the monthly salary? The salary is 2,700 yuan. Counting full attendance and so on, I can get about 3,120 yuan a month. You work so hard but the salary is so low, why don't you change jobs? I also persuaded my mother to change jobs. Shu Lily sighed, but my mother said that she is old, has no education, no skills, and no ability. It's good enough to have a stable job. How dare she change jobs? Hearing this, Wu Jin was silent. Indeed, Shu Lily is still in school, and the whole family is supported by Shu Guilan alone. Once Shu Guilan loses her job, Shu Lily will not be able to go to school, and even the lives of the mother and daughter will be in jeopardy. Only 3,000 yuan a month, apart from Shu Lily's schooling, is probably barely enough to make a living. Wu Jin has always been curious about Shu Lily's father, and couldn't help asking, Li, where is your father? Shu Lily's hand trembled obviously, and said with complicated eyes, dead. No matter how ignorant of the ways of the world, Wu Jin knew that he shouldn't ask this question. The noodles were ready, so he ate quietly, and went to sleep after eating, and didn't dare to talk nonsense. Wu Jin has long developed the habit of getting up early. He got dressed and got up at dawn. The mother and daughter slept late yesterday. Wu Jin was afraid of waking them up, so he jumped over the wall and ran to the Panlongshan park next to him. As the saying goes, a day's plan begins in the morning. In the early morning, after a night of precipitation, it is the most stable time for spiritual energy. Wu Jin came to a secluded corner, facing the east, and practicing a set of boxing techniques with his breathing. After more than an hour, the sky was bright. Wu Jin finished his boxing and prepared to go down the mountain. Passing by the place where stray cats gathered, Wu Jin saw the neighboring big sister again. The two smiled at each other, and Wu Jin continued to run down the mountain. It's good to meet this fresh and lovely big sister every morning. Wu Jin had given up the idea of chatting her up, and was used to smiling at each other every day after meeting each other. When Wu Jin ran home, the door was already open, so he didn't have to climb over the wall to get in. The smell of food wafted out of the kitchen. Shu Guilan saw Wu Jin coming back and called Wu Jin over for breakfast. The breakfast was simple: white rice porridge, steamed buns, and 2 stacks of side dishes. Wu Jin was not polite, picked up the porridge, drank it in big gulps, and ate a steamed bun in 2 mouthfuls. The mother and daughter had long been accustomed to Wu Jin's eating style and large appetite. "You are so thin, I wonder where all your meals went," Xu Lili muttered as she added porridge to Wu Jin. Xu Guilan smiled and said, "It's a good thing for young people to be able to eat. Look at how strong Wu Jin is and how energetic he is." Xu Lili pouted, "Of course he is energetic. He climbs over the wall every day when there is a door." Wu Jin choked and coughed until his face turned red. Xu Guilan glared at Xu Lili and defended Wu Jin, "Isn't it because you are afraid of disturbing our sleep? Wu Jin, you too, the wall is so high, don't climb over it all the time, don't fall." Wu Jin's eyes were filled with tears, and he didn't know whether he was choked or moved. He hugged Xu Lili's arm and rubbed it. "Auntie is still caring for people. Look at you, you make me angry, why don't you wipe my tears quickly?" Xu Lili pushed Wu Jin away with a look of disgust. Xu Guilan smiled at the 2 people playing. After dinner, Wu Jin said to Xu Guilan, "Auntie, it's too hot. I want to buy an air conditioner." Xu Guilan thought Wu Jin was afraid of drilling holes in the wall, so she asked her, "Okay, the room is rented to you, you can install it if you want." Wu Jin meant to install one for each of the mother and daughter. After living with them for a few days, Wu Jin already understood the temperament of the mother and daughter. They were poor, but very strong-willed and self-respecting. With Xu Lili's looks, wouldn't it be easy for her to get a rich man? Even Xu Guilan, in her middle age, still has her charm. She must have been a great beauty when she was young. She has never remarried since she was a widow. They didn't get rich, but they still worked hard and persisted, living with dignity, which made Wu Jin admire them very much. If he told them to buy it directly, they would say they would not want it. When the time comes, they can just buy it and install it directly. They can't take it down again. "I want Li Li to go with me and help me choose. Auntie, you know, I just came out of the mountains, so I don't want to be cheated by others. Since I'm going to buy it for them, let Xu Li choose, and she will like it." Xu Guilan smiled and said, "You 2 children used to be ripped off. I have 1 day off every month. I'll call the restaurant later and adjust the rest time. I'll go with you." "Okay, it's a happy decision." Wu Jin made the decision. Their home appliance market is far away, so the 3 of them chose to take the bus. After arriving at the station, a huge shopping mall appeared in front of them. This is the first time Wu Jin has come out of the mountains since he was a child, and he has never visited such a large shopping mall. He is curious about everything and asks Xu Lili about everything. Xu Lili patiently explains. Xu Guilan smiled and watched from behind. Their mother and daughter were both frugal. Although Wu Jin was the one who bought the large appliance, they didn't want him to waste money. They wandered around most of the mall and chose one after comparison. Wu Jin was curious about everything. He followed them around for a long time without getting bored. Seeing that they had already chosen one, he quickly stood up, took out a card and handed it to the salesperson, and pointed to a large double-door refrigerator and said, "I want 4 air conditioners, and we also want this refrigerator." They took the salesperson to order a washing machine, LCD TV, water heater, and a bunch of small appliances. The salesperson smiled and took Wu Jin's card to check out. Xu Guilan grabbed Wu Jin's hand and said, "Wu Jin, why did you buy 4 air conditioners? And so many other things. We each have 1 in the room and 1 in the living room, isn't that exactly 4? Xu Guilan quickly shook her head, "We don't want it, you can return it." The salesperson who came with the bill felt nervous when he heard Xu Guilan's words. The things bought today were worth tens of thousands, and he could get a lot of commission. If Wu Jin really returned it, he would have worked in vain. However, return and exchange are the rights of customers. The salesperson didn't say anything, but just looked at Wu Jin eagerly. Wu Jin knew that Xu Guilan would react like this. He took the bank card from the salesperson and said with a smile, "Auntie, the broken refrigerator at home is too small and wastes electricity. And the water heater, every time I take a shower, the hot water is intermittent, either scalding or freezing. I have wanted to change it for a long time. Since I am here today, I can buy it together to save an extra trip." Xu Guilan still insisted, "Wu Jin, I know you mean well, but we also have our principles. Although we are poor, we can't ask for things from others casually. Chapter 19. The beautiful scenery in the fitting room. Wu Jin had already thought of a reason, and he said confidently, "Auntie, you know, I came from the mountains and have not been to school for a few days. These few days, Lily has been helping me with my homework and teaching me knowledge. Whether I can get into college in the future depends on her. Don't you have to pay for tutoring?" Seeing that Xu Guilan's expression was somewhat relaxed, Wu Jin struck while the iron was hot and said, "Besides, I also need to use the living room. Lily tutors me in the living room. It's too hot and I can't study. Compared with my future, what are a few air conditioners? Anyway, I have decided, I must buy it. Unless you, Auntie, don't let me live here or don't care about my future and don't let Lily tutor me." Wu Jin simply acted like a rogue. Since Wu Jin said this, Xu Guilan couldn't say anything more. After leaving an address to the salesperson and explaining the delivery time, Wu Jin suggested buying 2 sets of clothes. Xu Lili had long disliked Wu Jin's dressing style and immediately agreed. Some people say that shopping is a woman's greatest hobby, and Wu Jin believes it now. Xu Lili is usually busy with housework and study. Today, she rarely goes shopping in the mall. She is like a beautiful butterfly returning to the flowers, wearing and weaving among various clothes. Matching clothes can be said to be a woman's innate skill. There is no need to learn. Xu Lili keeps selecting clothes and looking at Wu Jin. She soon matches several sets. There are clothes for home, work, morning exercise. Wu Jin picked up a set and tried it. It fits very well. This made him very puzzled. Could it be that women are born with a ruler in their eyes and can tell the size at a glance? Clothes make the man, and saddles make the horse. Wu Jin immediately became much more handsome after wearing the clothes selected by Xu Lili. Coupled with the unique temperament of a cultivator, even the shopping guide next to him praised, "This set of clothes is simply tailor-made for you. Miss has a good eye." Xu Lili knew that Wu Jin was not short of money. Anyway, she was buying it for Wu Jin to wear, so she didn't care about the price when choosing. She picked what was suitable and naturally matched it to the best effect. Wu Jin held a pile of clothes and said to Xu Lili, "Since you are here, you can pick a few too." Xu Lili quickly shook her head, "The clothes here are so expensive, I can't afford them." Wu Jin smiled helplessly, "It's okay to try, right? Clothes are as tempting to women as cars are to men," and Xu Lili couldn't help but be moved. "Try the styles, and go to Taobao to find a few of the same ones." Xu Lili comforted herself. At this time, the mall has started to put up new autumn clothes. Xu Lili couldn't resist the temptation after all. She picked a beige windbreaker and a pair of jeans and went into the fitting room. Not long after entering the fitting room, Xu Lili suddenly exclaimed, "Ouch," accompanied by the sound of items hitting the ground. Wu Jin's eyes flashed with gold and looked at the fitting room. In the fitting room, Xu Lili was only wearing underwear, looking at her phone with a distressed face. Haughty peaks, flat belly, slender waist, delicate and tight long legs, all in sight. Wu Jin swallowed his saliva and looked away with difficulty. Xu Guilan had already rushed to the door of the fitting room and asked nervously, "Li, what's wrong?" "It's okay, I just accidentally dropped my phone on the ground. Fortunately, it can still be used." Xu Guilan was relieved when she heard that it was just the phone that fell. The door of the fitting room opened, and Xu Lili, wearing a windbreaker, walked out. Wu Jin's eyes lit up immediately. Xu Lili is 1.65 meters tall. Compared with Jiu Feiyan, she is not tall, but she is not short among girls. Now she wears a slim windbreaker and straight jeans, which makes her look more outstanding. Even the shopping guide next to her showed a surprised look and exclaimed sincerely, "This set of clothes is simply tailor-made for you. You are so beautiful. You are so lucky to have such a beautiful girlfriend. Is everyone who comes to buy clothes tailor-made by you? Can you change the sentence when you praise people?" Wu Jin couldn't help laughing. The sales lady blushed and whispered, "I'm telling the truth. Do you think you don't look pretty in this dress?" A murderous aura spread from Xu Lili. Wu Jin quickly gave a thumbs up, "Pretty, so pretty." The murderous aura slowly dissipated. The sales lady and Xu Guilan both covered their mouths and laughed. After turning around in front of the mirror for a few times, Xu Lili went into the fitting room again, took off her clothes and prepared to put them back. Wu Jin took them over, "You go and choose, I'll put them away later." Handing the clothes to Wu Jin, Xu Lili started the next battle and picked a sweater and went into the fitting room. After trying one suit after another, I have to say that beautiful women look good in anything. Shoe Lily is simply a natural clothes hanger. Whether it's a small suit or casual sportswear, she can always wear a unique taste, which makes Wu Jin feast his eyes. Finally, Shoe Lily was tired, and Wu Jin also put a lot of clothes next to her. Shoe Lily picked a woolen coat and casual pants, and took Shu Guilan's hand. "Mom, you try it on too." Shu Guilan waved her hand and said, "I won't try it on." "No. You must try it on." Shu Lily pulled Shu Guilan into the fitting room without saying anything. Wu Jin took advantage of the mother and daughter entering the fitting room, waved to the sales lady, handed her a bank card, and asked her to pack up all the clothes next to her. The sales lady was stunned. Shu Lily had just tried on so many clothes. She was somewhat unhappy in her heart, because after Wu Jin and the others left, she still had to sort them out. However, out of professional quality, she did not show her dissatisfaction, but hoped that Wu Jin could buy 1 or 2 sets, so that she could get some commission and not work in vain. After selling clothes for many years, the sales lady knew at a glance that these clothes were worth at least 70,000 or 80,000. "Do you want all of them?" The sales lady couldn't help but confirm again. Wu Jin said calmly, "I also want the set that the auntie inside tried on. By the way, after swiping the card, cut off the labels and throw them away." The shopping guide reminded, "Sir, you can't return it if the labels are cut off." Wu Jin nodded, "We won't return it." "Okay, sir, please wait a moment." The shopping guide immediately picked up the clothes and ran to the counter, as if she was afraid that Wu Jin would regret it. There was someone at the counter who was responsible for packing. After swiping the card, the shopping guide came over with the bill, receipt, and bank card and handed them to Wu Jin respectfully. The door of the fitting room opened, and Shu Guilan came out after changing her clothes. Wu Jin thought Shu Guilan looked good before. Now she changed into a good dress, radiant, and exuded the mature charm of a middle-aged woman. "Auntie, this set of clothes is tailor-made for you, Li Li, you have a good eye." Wu Jin gave a heartfelt compliment, and this sentence praised both mother and daughter. The sales lady burst out laughing. Just now Wu Jin was laughing at her for only saying this one sentence, but now she is saying it very fluently. Slippery tongue. Shu Lily attacked Wu Jin verbally, but she was happy in her heart. At this time, a middle-aged couple came in, searched for a while, and shouted to the sales lady, "Waiter, come here, come quickly." The sales lady looked at Wu Jin apologetically. Wu Jin waved his hand and said, "You go and do your work." The sales lady ran over and bowed slightly to the middle-aged couple. "Hello, is there anything I can help you with?" The middle-aged woman had heavy makeup on her face, a narrow forehead, and a pair of slanted eyebrows, giving people a deep sense of viciousness. Although she was not young, her dressing style was very bold and open, with a large neckline, revealing a large area of snow white and a ravine. She wore a short skirt that reached the root of her thighs and flesh-colored stockings on her legs. The middle-aged man was wearing a shirt and trousers, but they were all a little wrinkled. He would scratch his lower body from time to time, which made the salesgirl feel disgusted. The middle-aged woman pointed at the clothes in front of her and shouted to the salesgirl, "Find me a size L of this dress." "Please wait a moment." The salesgirl also saw that the middle-aged woman was not easy to deal with, so she quickly went to the warehouse to look for it. After a while, he came out and said to the middle-aged woman, "I'm sorry, this dress is no longer available in size L." The middle-aged woman was immediately furious, pointing at the saleslady's nose and scolding, "You're talking nonsense. I saw one yesterday when I came here. Did I not pay or what? Tell me, why did you hide it and not sell it to me?" Although the saleslady was scolded for no reason, she still held back and said politely, "I'm really sorry, the last one you saw yesterday was bought by that lady." The middle-aged woman shouted, "I saw it first, why did you sell it to someone else? Just wait, I will definitely complain to your manager about you." The saleslady knew that the best way to deal with such unreasonable people was to not say anything. She smiled politely and stopped talking. The middle-aged woman saw that the saleslady ignored her, snorted coldly, and walked towards Wu Jin and the other two. The saleslady hurriedly followed. "Hey, I saw this dress first, take it off for me." The middle-aged woman said domineeringly to Shu Guilan, who was tidying up the buttons. Wu Jin frowned and looked at the saleslady. A big customer like Wu Jin who bought 70,000 or 80,000 yuan worth of clothes without blinking an eye, let alone the saleslady, even their manager would not dare to offend him. The saleslady quickly stood up and explained, I'm sorry, this gentleman wants this dress. Xu Guilan and Xu Lili turned around and saw the middle-aged woman, and their faces suddenly changed. The couple was also stunned when they saw their mother and daughter. The middle-aged man said, Guilan, Lili, why are you here? The middle-aged woman didn't wait for the mother and daughter to speak, and pointed at the middle-aged man's nose and scolded, Xu Kaixian, why are you so affectionate? Now I am your wife, and how is your son? Tell me, do you still have any thoughts about them when you are so affectionate? Don't forget that I am the one who is supporting you, a loser. Xu Kaixian quickly explained, I have already broken off all ties with them, so how can I still have any thoughts? A trace of sadness flashed in Xu Lili's eyes, but it was quickly covered up. She stood up and said, Li Erhua, don't worry, since Xu Kaixian abandoned us mother and daughter, he is no longer my father. Just like he said, we are no longer friends. Chapter 20 Dad. Dad? Didn't Li say that his father was dead? Wu Jin was a little surprised, but he didn't say anything, just watched silently. Li Erhua snorted coldly, he has no business now and can't make money. Of course you have to break off all ties with him. Who knows if he secretly gave you money in the past? Xu Kaixian has always lost money in business in the past few years and now relies on Li Erhua for support. Hearing Li Erhua say this, he quickly assured, I really didn't secretly give them money. In all these years, Xu Guilan only came to me once and said that Xu Lili was sick and asked me to borrow 300 yuan. I was afraid that you would be angry, so I didn't lend it to her. Hearing Xu Kaixian's words, the shopping guides frowned and felt that this man was too bastard. After all, his daughter was sick, but he didn't even lend 300 yuan. He was worse than a beast. With Xu Guilan's pride, if it wasn't about Xu Lili's health, she would never borrow money from Xu Kaixian. Xu Lili's eyes turned red and she looked at Xu Guilan. Mom, did you go to him to borrow money when I was sick? You told me that you accidentally lost the bracelets that Grandma left for you. Did you sell them? Xu Guilan didn't answer, and pulled Xu Lili away. Lili, it's all in the past, let's go, I feel sick when I see their faces. When Li Erhua heard that the two were leaving, she shouted, you can go, but leave your clothes. Xu Lili frowned, why? Li Erhua pinched her waist with both hands, and said with her nose up, just because I could snatch a man back then, I can snatch her clothes today. Xu Guilan was so angry that she trembled all over. Xu Lili said calmly, that's because Xu Kaixian is not worthy of my mother, otherwise you. Humph. The sarcasm is self-evident. Xu Kaixian, take a good look. This is your daughter. I am her elder after all. She actually spoke to me like this. Why don't you slap her twice and teach her how to speak? Li Erhua pointed at Xu Kaixian and cursed. Xu Kaixian habitually scratched his crotch with his hand, walked in front of Xu Lili, and stretched out his hand to hit Xu Lili. Xu Lili didn't expect Xu Kaixian to really come and hit her, and she was stunned. Li Erhua's loud voice had already resounded throughout the venue. At this time, a large circle of people had gathered. Everyone thought Xu Kaixian was too much, but no one dared to stop him. Seeing that Xu Kaixian was about to hit Xu Lili, Wu Jin stepped forward, hugged Xu Lili and took a step back. Wu Jin wanted to grab Xu Kaixian's hand, but Xu Kaixian always grabbed the bottom with his hands, which made Wu Jin feel disgusted. Holding Xu Lili's waist, Wu Jin said calmly, I think what Lili said is right. I really don't know if you are blind. You actually abandoned Auntie and went to find such a slut who can be fucked by anyone. Wu Jin's words were quite harsh, and even the onlookers felt relieved. Li Erhua was so angry that she gasped and pointed at Wu Jin and said, You. What do you mean by you? Do you also think I'm right? Let everyone tell us, is Auntie 100 times more gentle, 1,000 times more beautiful, and 10,000 times more charming than you? At this time, Wu Jin knew why Xu Lili said that her father was dead. Such a father might as well be dead. Wu Jin was not as tactful as Xu Lili and her daughter. If he didn't want to get his hands dirty, Wu Jin would have beaten them up long ago. The crowd had long been angry at Li Erhua's shamelessness and Xu Kaixian's indifference, and now they all echoed loudly, yes. That's right, this man must be blind, otherwise how could he abandon such a beautiful woman? Humph. Isn't it because you men are greedy for more? Look at this Li Erhua, who is so old and still dresses so coquettishly. Even if she doesn't look good, she can still seduce you men. Besides being coquettish and picking up broken shoes as a mistress, What else can this woman do? The comments of these people were like stabbing Xu Kaixuan and Li Erhua with a knife. Knowing that she would not get any good results today, Li Erhua wanted to retreat, but she couldn't swallow this breath, and pointed at Xu Guilan and said, "Xu Guilan, take off your clothes quickly, and I can let you go today." Xu Guilan ignored her. Li Erhua was anxious and yelled at Xu Kaixuan, "You coward, take off your clothes for me." Xu Kaixuan reached out to grab Xu Guilan's arm. At this time, Wu Jin flashed and blocked Xu Guilan, staring at Xu Kaixuan. The salesgirl saw that something was wrong and hurried out to explain, "This dress has been bought by this gentleman and the money has been paid." Li Erhua was unwilling to step on Xu Guilan and her daughter today, so she stood up and said, "Xu Guilan, this coat costs more than 3,000 yuan. It took many years to save it. I'll give you 5,000 yuan. Take it off quickly and you can earn more than 1,000 yuan immediately." Seeing that Xu Guilan still ignored her, Li Erhua gritted her teeth and said, 6,000 yuan. 7,000 yuan. 8,000 yuan. Xu Guilan simply turned around and didn't even look at her. Li Erhua was immediately furious, "Xu Guilan, don't be greedy." The saleslady couldn't bear it any longer, and kindly reminded, "Madam, they just bought 83,000 yuan worth of clothes at once." Li Erhua was completely stunned. She understood what the saleslady meant. She was not short of money at all. "Arrogant, you're slapped in the face now, right? Slut, you deserve it." The people around felt relieved. The saleslady's words sounded soft, but they slapped Li Erhua in the face. Even if Li Erhua was thick-skinned, she blushed with shame. Fortunately, she had a thick layer of powder on her face, so it couldn't be seen. But she was very curious, how could Xu Guilan be willing to spend more than 80,000 yuan on clothes? She suddenly remembered that she heard that Xu Guilan's place was going to be demolished, and she must have received the demolition compensation, so she suddenly became rich. Pulling Xu Kaixuan's ears and whispering a few words, Xu Kaixuan's eyes became brighter and brighter. Xu Kaixuan grabbed his crotch again and forced a smile, "Guilan, I heard that our house is going to be demolished." Xu Guilan snorted coldly, "It's my house, it has nothing to do with you. Why is it not related? Although we are not together, I also have a share in the property. Now that it is demolished, you can't take the demolition fee alone." Xu Kaixuan said, righteously. "Don't say there is no relocation fee. Even if there is, it has nothing to do with you." Xu Guilan was so angry that she laughed, "Xu Kaixuan, my father took you in because he felt sorry for you. You would have been beaten to death long ago. You came into our house empty-handed. We gave you money to start a business. Who knew you were an ungrateful person and ran away with Li Erhua with our money? Now you still have the nerve to talk about the property. It doesn't matter who is right or wrong. According to the law, I should have half. I don't ask for more. Just give me 500,000 yuan. Otherwise, I will sue you." Wu Jin saw what shamelessness is today. He abandoned others back then and now he is asking for relocation fee. I really don't know how he opened his mouth. "I really don't want to talk to such a person," Wu Jin said impatiently. "If you want to sue you, go ahead, a good dog doesn't block the road, get out of here." Xu Kaixuan now wanted to cut Wu Jin into pieces. Seeing Wu Jin holding Xu Lily's waist, he pointed at Wu Jin and shouted, "Who the hell are you? Get your dirty hands off my daughter." Before Wu Jin could speak, Xu Lily hugged Wu Jin with both hands, got into Wu Jin's arms, turned around and looked at Xu Kaixuan as if to protest. Xu Lily's reaction made Wu Jin stunned, but he didn't point it out, and sneered, "I think your hands are dirty. You always touch your crotch when you have nothing to do. You have gonorrhea, right?" Xu Kaixuan's old face turned red and he couldn't speak. Since entering the door, Xu Kaixuan has been scratching his lower body, and Li Erhua always secretly reaches out to touch it. Based on the symptoms, Wu Jin knows that the two of them are likely to have gonorrhea. Wanting to confirm it through perspective, Wu Jin wanted to vomit when he thought of the two people's eroded lower body, so he didn't look at it. But now, seeing Xu Kaixuan's expression, I know that I guessed right. Li Erhua was so angry that she couldn't speak. She pointed at Wu Jin and shouted, "You slander me. I slander me. If you have the guts, ask him to take off his pants and let everyone see if he is almost rotten. And you are not much better. It is probably your fault that he got sick. If I am not wrong, you should go to work at night, right?" In fact, Li Erhua was really a street prostitute, but Wu Jin said it in public. Li Erhua was immediately angry and rushed to Wu Jin. Wu Jin sneered, turned sideways and dodged, and kicked the chair next to him. Li Erhua was tripped by the chair and fell on her back. She was wearing a short skirt that only reached her thighs, and it was suddenly ripped to her waist. Her stockings and panties were completely exposed to the air. When everyone saw it, pus was flowing out from the bottom, and her stockings were stained. The crowd of onlookers immediately stepped back, some even covered their noses. It's so disgusting. Damn, this woman really has gonorrhea. She's probably a streetwalker, no wonder the guy said she's a slut, that's a civilized way of saying it. Li Erhua got up in a panic and yelled at Xu Kaixian, "Are you still a man? Go ahead and beat this guy to a pulp." Xu Kaixian was already furious, and after hearing what Li Erhua said, he raised his fist and hit Wu Jin. With just these two moves, Wu Jin could knock him down with his eyes closed, but what made Wu Jin entangled was how to do it. He really hated it. What a waste of a new pair of shoes. Seeing that Xu Kaixian's fist was about to hit him, Wu Jin gritted his teeth and kicked Xu Kaixian in the stomach. Xu Kaixian flew out for 5 meters, like a prawn thrown into a pot, with his back bent and his stomach covered, his face flushed. Wu Jin chased him and kicked him hard. Wu Jin stopped after kicking him more than 10 times. Waited to the salesgirl and asked her to bring another pair of shoes. Kicking Xu Kaixian made Wu Jin feel more disgusted than stepping on dog shit. Li Erhua ran over to help Xu Kaixian up, pointed at Wu Jin and said, "Boy, wait, I will never let you go." Wu Jin frowned and took a step forward. Li Erhua and the other man ran out in fear. The two panicked and bumped into an old man. The old man fell to the ground, groaning, "Oh, someone is going to be killed. My heart, my liver, my lungs are all in pain. Oh, I am going to be killed." The old man's family immediately grabbed Xu Kaixian and the other man and started to fight. God will punish the Avilders. The onlookers all laughed.